Ranella.
Here.
Commissioner Hightower.
Here.
Commissioner Webb.
Here.
Commissioner Goss.
Here.
And Mayor Butler.
Here. Any addition or correction to the minutes of the meeting of October the 10th? If not, they will be approved. Now, it looks like we have several people of interest here. I believe we have a delegation of Boy Scouts. Do you have a spokesman? Or did you just come up here to observe? Or maybe you did both?
All at once, no.
Come on, one of you boys step up here. Well, okay, let's go the other way. Scoutmaster, how about you stepping forth?
This is a few of the boys from Troop 42. I did the pack and the troop. Troop 42 here at Marion. Our location is at the Aldersgate Church on the east side of town. The boys here are working on a couple different merit badges which require them to attend one of your council meetings.
Okay, and what are the merit badges?
Elijah, stand up and tell us.
One of the merit badges is citizenship in the community, and the other one is communications.
Citizenship, and what was the other one?
Communications.
Communications. You know, communication is a wonderful thing.
Luckily, it wasn't public speaking.
Okay.
Thank you for letting us attend tonight.
I don't believe you gave us your name.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. My name's Mark Doss. That is my son, the one that I was forcing to stand up. Why don't each of you boys stand up and introduce yourself?
My name is Camden Doss. I'm also part of Troop 742.
My name is River Doss, and I'm Tenderfoot Range.
My name is Noah Walters, and I am first class scout at Troop 742.
Very good.
My name is Mason Cox. I'm a life scout working on a project currently with the Lansing County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
My name is Elijah Doss. I am currently first class rank.
My name is Zach Walters, and I am Scout Rank.
My name is William Riggs, and I'm first class rank.
Good. Good job.
How many different ranks are there?
Mason, why don't you answer that?
We have Scout, Tenderfoot, second class, first class, Star Scout, Life Scout, and then our Eagles are fine.
Okay, how many merit badges does it take to become an Eagle Scout?
Will, what you answering? How many merit badges does it take to be an Eagle Scout?
I think it's 21.
Well, some things never change. When I was a Boy Scout, you had to have 21 merit badges. But you have a whole lot more that you can work on now than you have.
Over 125, well over 125 different merit.
125?
Over that, yes.
Over that. Holy cow, that is absolutely fantastic.
Tell them you're an Eagle Scout.
Well, oh, yeah.
He didn't want to mention that, though.
No, we see the mayor comes to our court of honors when the boys turn to Eagle. We see the mayor there a lot of times. Yes.
Yeah.
As a scout watching that.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult to break some habits, I guess. Okay, now there's a gentleman standing behind you.
Hello, Mayor. My name is Seth Walters. I'm also a 7042. I act in the capacity of a Cub Master with the pack and also with the Troop 42 as well. I also wanted to thank the city for a recycling program that you put on. You were so gracious to let us help in that effort as well. And we just want to thank you and the city for making a donation to our Troop 42. So,
well, thank you, and we appreciate the good work that all the boys did. And
thank you.
Thank Troop 42.
Yes, sir.
Now, you had an older fellow with you. What happened to him?
It was past his bedtime. He claimed that he went to work early and stayed late, and since we had a couple of other adults, he
let him off.
He went home.
Okay, what was his name?
It was Chuck Weiss. He's our scoutmaster.
Okay. All right. Well, I wondered what happened to him, if he was as bashful as the boys were.
Okay. Well, we're not this bashful outside this meeting.
Okay, very good.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all you do. And hopefully, while the boys are here, they'll learn how to communicate. And maybe in passing, learn a little bit about citizenship. Okay, who else do we have here that needs something that we should take up? Yeah.
Vets for vets?
Uh-huh.
Vets for vets?
What did you say?
Vets for vets.
It's right here, yeah.
Okay,
I think they'll build something like this, Bob.
yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, now, all right, won't you come up?
That's your floor plan, see?
Yeah.
My name is Bruce Scheffler. I'm the president and founder of Vets for Vets. And we're 501(c) local. And right now we're doing a pilot project with the Department of Corrections where we're going to build small manufactured houses in Anna, then ship them up to the Danville Correctional Facility, have them finished, then bring them back down here. And what we'd like to do is get a lot in Marion and put our first house here and see how it works, and then go from there. These houses will be permanent. They're on a foundation. You've got an ordinance, 3104, about portable buildings. These houses are less than 400 square feet, so they fall under this ordinance, and we'd ask
You need a variance or
a
something?
variance on that. Any questions?
Any particular location you're looking at? Or?
No, we were told that you've got some lots that, houses you tore down, that, in neighborhoods that could probably use some building up, and we'd be happy to take them.
Well, I think it would all depend. You wouldn't want to put one of these structures in a area where the homes have a value of $200,000.
Oh, no, we wouldn't be looking for that. We'd be looking
Yeah.
for neighborhoods where the houses are basically small, like...
Okay, now who's going to occupy these houses?
These will be occupied by veterans in need, probably at the beginning by homeless veterans, working with a project at the VA where they take care of homeless veterans. And we use a program called HUD Dash, where the VA provides the money for their rent. And we put them in a program to get them a job, get them reacclimated and back into being a normal citizen.
How long would a veteran occupy one of these?
We're the outside on each one of these houses a year.
A year.
Here they move on and we put somebody else in there. But I want to stress that the charity would own the houses. We would be the landlords. We would do all of the vetting on the people, and we would...
Okay, you said the charity would own the house. All right, what's the name of the charity?
Vets for Vets. We're a 501(c).
So what if during the year,
Right here.
what's that? Oh, what if their circumstances change very favorably during that year? I mean, do they get kicked out, or what's the?
Well, we'd work with them. We wouldn't come in... I mean, somebody gets a job and it's a good job, that's fine. They need to save up some money so they can go put a deposit on an apartment. We get a lot of these guys that don't have cars. They need to, they need the simple things to get back into where they can, on a day-to-day basis, work out. So we're not there to, I guess we're not set in stone with what we do. We put people in there and work with them as long as they need to be worked with.
Well, do you have any requirements like seeking employment and that's...
Yeah, in fact, what we would do is they sign a contract with us. If we're going to put them in a house, then we're going to get them in a program with the Veterans Administration where they have a program called compensated work therapy, where they have people who specifically go out and find jobs for these guys.
Who's going to pay the utilities?
We will.
And I'm not sure, but will you have real estate taxes to pay?
I checked with the county tax assessor, and yeah, we'll have real estate taxes to pay.
Okay, and you'll be picking up the bill for that?
Oh, sure, we'll pay the insurance, the real estate taxes, and the utilities, but then if a guy gets a job and he's doing well, I'm going to expect him to pay the utilities.
Yeah.
We're there to help, but it's not a handout.
Right, that's
Hand up.
Best way to go. Okay, any other questions?
Is this the first town you said, or?
Yeah. We're from around here, we wanted to do it because of the proximity of the hospital in Marion.
Okay, well, I don't know if we have any lots available or where they would be at this point, but we'll check with our people and see what we can come up with. We'll need your name, address, and phone number.
All of that should be on the packet that we handed out.
It's all in the package.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments here?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is John McPeak. I own Mackey's Pizza on Route 13 and Walton Way. I know this is not a big, you guys cannot control this, but I want to bring up a major issue with the real estate taxes in the city of Marion. They are possibly the most unfair thing you have ever seen, ever. On that side of the interstate, the taxes vary for every person over there. They may range from $20,000 to $25,000 depending on the restaurant and who they are. When I opened up my restaurant here in 2006, my taxes were $16,574. In 2010, they were $45,625. I hired Adam Lawler. He got them lowered for me to $38,000. This year, they were $40,411. I just feel like there's some major, I know you guys can't do anything about it, but I was told to come to the council night first to talk about the taxes because the county, they seem to think we have to come before you first before anything can happen with the taxes. And I know that's not true because I'm on city council myself in Harrisburg, so I know how it works. But I just think it's really wrong that when you have franchise restaurants paying $18,000 to $22,000 a year, and you have a local person who opened a business up in this town who's doing very well, trying to do well, if they can afford the taxes in this town, but they can't do it when they have to pay $40,000 a year.
Okay, now two or 3 points here. Number one, the total tax on real estate in Williamson County is a little over $7 assessed to valuation. Now, you said that the taxes are so high in Marion. That would seem to indicate you think that the city taxes are high. Out of that $700, the city gets about 57 cents. We get about a little over 5% of the money that you pay for taxes. So let's don't be...
I'm not up here yelling.
I know, but when you
I'm
come
just
out...
coming to you first.
No, yeah, but when you come out and you say the taxes are higher in Marion than any place else, the implication is that the city tax is high. And I'm just pointing out, the city tax is only about 57 cents out of that $7. Number one. Number two, the assessor is the guy that determines the assessed value of your property. Now, if you think that you're being mistreated, when you get your assessment and you don't like it, you can appeal to the State Board of Review.
I have.
And what happened?
Nothing.
Okay.
I hired an attorney, Adam Waller. He actually got something done, but I have learned since then, you don't hire an attorney from Williamson County to support you. You hire an attorney from St. Louis or Chicago to help you because you can't get anything done.
No, wait a minute. You're disparaging the whole system. Now, you may be right. I've had a little experience in that.
You never owned a business to know what it's like to pay taxes like I am, sir.
Well, and don't tell me I don't feel your pain. What candidate for president said that? I feel your pain.
When?
Every one of them.
Okay. Now, give you one example. Years ago, Community Health Systems wanted to build a hospital in Marion. They were from Tennessee. And And so they filed an application with the Facilities Planning Board in Springfield to get a certificate of need, which they had to have. So they filed a petition, they went to Springfield, had a hearing, and they were turned down. The administrator, who would be the administrator of the hospital, called me and he said, "Bob, is there anything you can do?" And I said, "Well, let me do a little checking." Well, Pam Taylor happened to be the chairman of the Health Facilities Planning Board. I called her because she was in charge of the rejection. I said, "What do these guys need to do to get their certificate?" She said, "They have the wrong attorney." And I said, "Well, who would you suggest?" She gave me the name of a lawyer that I happen to know. I said, "Thank you." I called him up and I said, "Will you represent Community Health System?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "How much?" $25,000. Very good. I called an administrator for the Community Health Systems, and I told him, "You can hire this attorney for $25,000. If you don't hire him, you're not going to get your certificate." He says, "That's a bad way to do it. We don't do things like that in Tennessee." I said, "Yeah, but you know why." So what happens? Called the guy, said, "Yeah, I represent $25,000. They set a new hearing. Couple, three of the people from Marion and the attorney appeared before the board. Well, I thought he was going to carry the ball. Well, what he did was introduce the city officials, and then he says, "And now Mayor Butler will make a presentation." This was news to me. But he didn't know that I knew that we had him in the bag. We were going to get the certificate regardless of what happened. Sure enough, I was the only witness. After the testimony, they said, "Okay, certificate is issued." So, you see, I'm perfectly aware of how things have worked in Illinois. Now, whether you have to have an attorney from Chicago or St. Louis, I don't know. I can just relate my experience.
Right. I just think it's really, and I'm not blaming you guys. I'm just saying, and I hope the public out there knows just what I pay in taxes alone. I think it's ridiculous. I can compare my restaurant with other restaurants on the other side of the interstate, and I've gone to the courthouse and done my homework. I know what they're paying. They pay an average of $20,000 to $25,000 a year. I pay $40,000. $40,000. That's a lot of pizzas. Well, I've been here for 10 years, and I feel like, I'm not getting no help. I just like I asked Gail tonight. I was told today that I was under the assumption that you guys had put the new car wash next door to me in the entire TIF. And Gail says, "No, that's not true, John. They're just like you, just the front half of your restaurant."
Just a portion.
And when we first opened here, we were told. When we first came here 10 years ago, we were told that our entire restaurant was in the TIF. But then that all changed. That came from you, sir.
Well, now I don't.
That came from you, sir.
Well,
That was 10 years ago.
I don't recall telling you that, but it doesn't matter. You got the problem now.
Big time.
Yeah. Now, it appears to me you need to be talking to the Williamson County Tax Assessor.
I've tried that.
Well, you need to try it again.
Somebody told me to start here first and then go there.
Yeah, but understand we have no control over that.
No, but I think
Wait a minute.
No, listen to me. I'm the one paying the taxes. Listen to me.
Well,
listen to me. I'm paying the taxes.
I know you're paying the taxes, but I want you to understand the city has absolutely nothing to do with that tax. You understand that?
I understand.
Number two, we have absolutely nothing to do with your assessed evaluation. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Okay.
All I'm saying is I'm coming to you guys to tell you guys about this to see if you can help me out anyway. Well, maybe help me talk to the courthouse.
Who told you to come to us? I'm just curious.
The county.
About the county, up to who?
The assessor's office.
They're the ones who have the control. Why would they tell you to come to us?
Start here first.
Well, why come to us? We have no control over either of those.
Control over the whole county. Marion's you're the biggest city here.
Oh, now, you're getting into fantasy world now. Let's be practical.
I am.
Okay, if you are, you understand the city has no control over your tax bill. We have no control over your assessed evaluation.
The county does, the city does.
That's all the county. Now, they don't have to pay any attention to us. We have no leverage. We have no control over them.
But you guys can talk to them and say, hey, listen, look at this, what they're doing, these people out there, this side of the interstate, you're opening all these restaurants, all this is going on, you're hurting everybody's business, help us out.
You're assuming that we have never talked to the county on anything before.
Well, I'm not assuming that. I'm sure you know.
Well, you must be, because you say we ought to go talk to them and talk them into making some kind of arrangement to relieve your situation. Now, I think you pretty well made your point, and I don't want you to walk out of here thinking that the city has any control over your tax bill or over your assessed evaluation.
I don't think that at all.
Okay,
then
understand
what's going on, and I want the public to know what's going on.
Okay, you've had your forum, you've had your platform, and I don't know if the media are paying attention to it or not. That's up to them.
Well, let me ask you this. Are we going to let him leave out of here without trying to help him?
Oh, well, sure. I have no problem talking to the county, primarily the tax assessor, and I will tell you that we've done this before. Sometimes we've been able to help, and sometimes we haven't. The mere fact that we will talk to him doesn't mean that there will be anything beneficial happen.
I think that's all he's asking.
That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I asked for help. That's all I'm asking for you to help me. I said that from the beginning.
Okay, but you didn't ask for where it was going to be.
It starts with you. It starts with you, sir, because you are the most powerful person in Williamson County. I don't care what anybody says.
Mackerel.
I don't care what anyone says.
I wish I had known that.
You haven't met his wife.
I have met her. She actually eats pizza.
Well, I don't know if being known as the most powerful man anywhere is good or bad, but and I'm not sure that I'm glad to hear that, but we'll give it a whirl. I have no problem with talking to him.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
John,
Okay.
Did you go before the county board?
I haven't yet, but I will. I was told to come here first, talk to you guys, and
Well, see, that is really strange, because the guy who is in charge, who has control, is telling you to come over to us, who have no control and in charge of nothing. Now, there's something wrong with that picture.
Passing the buck, you call it, maybe?
Well,
Passing the buck, but why?
we got what we're going to levy for our own taxes.
Right.
What was it last year? 52 cents? 55?
It was 0.50134.
Oh, 50, almost 51.
Right.
51, okay.
Closer to 50.
Yeah, closer to 50. Well, I'd say 50. Okay.
On the
But this time it'll be 57.
All depends what you guys do.
Well, okay, assuming we do what normal people would do, what would it be?
Yeah, but realistically, 58.
Okay, close to 58. All right.
I appreciate your position. I've
Thank you, John.
small business for 41 years, and it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not. And right now is really tough. Marion is really tough for the restaurant business right now, because there are so many restaurants opening up, and you know, we're all struggling, and we're all doing everything we can to get as many people coming in our business as we can, because when you go on that side of the interstate, you're going over there, you have 59 choices to eat at. And everybody has major bills to pay, and I'm glad to see the city's doing what they're doing and growing. But you know, we've got to get some good jobs coming in here and get some more people coming in this town to get these restaurants full all the time. You know, and we came here on the assumption that I know this is a little bit off the track here, but the Southern Illinois Miners were going to be a huge success for Marion. Well, it's kind of been a little bit of a downfall for Marion. It hasn't done what it's supposed to do, and I feel like, you know, I just feel like we got to get something in this town, because I love Marion. I actually love it here. I'm on city council in Harrisburg. Everybody knows that. And I want to see Marion do well, and I want to see Mackey's Pizza do well, and I want to see all the restaurants on that side of the interstate do well. But we got to come to thing with the taxes. I know I keep bringing up the taxes, that drives me crazy, but that's a lot of pizzas, $50,000, $40,000 is a lot of pizzas.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't like taxes, I don't like to pay taxes, but I do for two reasons. One, it's a moral obligation, and two, if I don't, they'll put me in jail.
Yeah, that's true. I pay mine on time every time.
So you looking for like an official letter or something to them, or what do you?
Just some.
No, we'll meet with them in person. We're not going to piddle with a letter.
Yeah.
Anybody can write a letter.
I would be very interested, when you go to the county board to ask why the great variance on one side of the road and the other.
Oh, it's
because I understand. I got friends in the restaurant business, and they say the same thing. Every time a restaurant opens in Marion, and obviously they think, and we think Marion is the place.
It is.
We don't hide behind that. We're proud of that, but it takes a little piece of their pie too.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part for all of us.
It really is, but like I said,
especially you local guys.
Yeah, and like I said, I love Marion. I think Marion's doing great, and the things Marion has going on for all of Southern Illinois is just spectacular. And it's just and it is a very, very business friendly town. But we just got to help people out. We got to get these taxes lowered. I know you guys can't do it, but it is bad. It is really bad, and that's why everybody's leaving Illinois. Heck, nobody can pay the taxes here. That's why no businesses come here, because everybody's leaving. A buddy of mine owns, they live in a small town in North Carolina. There's a Lowe's store there. Their taxes are lower than my taxes in North Carolina. On a Lowe's. So, there's a major, I know Illinois screwed up, and it's not you guys' fault.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, what you're talking about, there are two different things. The taxes you're concerned about, unhappy about, are local taxes. The state has absolutely nothing to do with that. Now, we know that the state is a disaster. We know we got too many morons running the show in Springfield.
I agree.
And I don't know if that is going to change anytime soon. I keep thinking that we're like a sailor on the Titanic. I'm trying to plug the holes, but there are people coming along behind me chopping more holes. That's the way the state of Illinois is.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's on a downward spiral. And I hope that we don't wind up at the bottom like the Titanic, but we could, the way it's going. Well, anyhow.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
From the Boy Scouts, did you learn anything about communication tonight?
Well, yeah, communication is a great thing. Okay, anybody else now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there you are.
Speaking to Mike? Okay. I'm Keith Violet, and I'm the mayor of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I'm here tonight on behalf of the Village of Pittsburgh to personally thank the board and you, Mayor, for letting us purchase one of the your squad car and one of your fire trucks. That means the world and all to us, because we're a small town. We can't afford to go out and buy new equipment all the time, and it's a godsend for us to get equipment like what you guys sold to us. And I know you guys do a wonderful job on your maintenance program, and we won't have anything to worry about. And I just wanted to come and thank you.
You're most kind, and we do appreciate that. And, we were happy to be able to help you folks out. We recognize we're a small town, we have limited resources, and not that ours are unlimited, but we bought 2 new fire trucks, thanks to the leadership of Jim Webb, the police and fire commissioner.
Well, if you're running out of room for some restaurants, you could send some out our way. We might be able to find some property for them out there and maybe get...
Well, you may have something there, because on a Friday night, many of these restaurants, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I tried to get into one, and you had to stand in line. I went to a second, the same thing. I went to the third, same thing. So I wound up eating at McDonald's. So,
It's the finest restaurant.
You upgraded?
yeah. So, I keep thinking that we're saturated with restaurants, but these national chains keep coming. Now, why do they come to Marion? They've done their studies, their surveys, their demographics, due diligence, and they come to Marion. And they do that because they decided Marion is a place to be. Now, maybe we can channel some of that to the point that Pittsburgh would be the place to be.
Well, that'd be all right.
That would suit you.
I'd go with that.
Okay.
But that's all I wanted. I know you got a lot of things to take care of. I just wanted to come by and thank you for...
You're most kind, and we do appreciate it.
Stuff.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, young man.
Have a good night.
Yeah. And I'll tell your father at Senior Citizens that you came and did a tremendous job.
That'll work.
Every now and then he'll say, how are you and the mayor of Pittsburgh getting along? And I say, why do you care? He says, he's my son. So,
Yeah, he'll ask you how I did, I'm sure.
okay.
See y'all.
Take care. Okay, now, who?
You got this.
Walkers Bluff?
Yeah, we got this project coming up.
Okay, well, I guess we might as well take that up.
Yes, it's a resolution.
Okay, Ms. Burke?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Mayor and Commissioners, thanks for considering the resolution to support the construction of the resort at Walkers Bluff. This is a $176 million project. It would start off with 1,250 construction jobs over 5 years, and the salary on that averages about $56,000 a year for those workers. After that, there would be 726 additional resort jobs. Currently, we have 150. About 35 of those people are citizens of Marion. So we expect 1,000 total at the end, and that would be a take-home paychecks of $34 million in our region that people would bring home. There would be an additional $50 million in tax revenue for the state of Illinois to divide up amongst the state as well as the county and the stakeholder governments, and that's up to the General Assembly. So we're asking for a gaming license from the state of Illinois later this fall, in November or perhaps January, and we hope that the state of Illinois will give us a chance to become competitive in the region by giving us this license. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You say a state license. What is the license for?
This would be a gaming license.
It would be an inland casino.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Now, any questions?
How long would it take to build all of this?
She
So
said 5 years. Oh,
There would be building for 5 years because there's an indoor-outdoor water park that would be a complex structure that would take some time, but we would plan on opening our doors about a year to 16 months after we get the approval.
Okay.
We have the architects, the ground cleared, beautiful spot. If you want to visit Walkers Bluff, you can see there's a lake being put in there. We're optimistic and hoping for the best.
Where's your infrastructure going to come from?
So we have plans for our infrastructure. What we can't access from local governments, we plan to build on our own, like a water treatment facility. We've worked with local governments to improve the water source, as well as a tower, and so we've got all that in motion as well.
most of the local governments in this area purchase water from the Red Lake Conservancy District. Have you considered talking to them direct?
Yes, we do have all those options on the table. Currently, we work with Blairsville, and so we would hope to expand the good service they've provided us so far, but we're definitely open and looking to develop on both sides of the Walkers Bluff area there.
Okay, and then the wastewater treatment, you're planning on having your own facility for that?
That is the plan, and we have a couple of other options to get us there in the interim as well, so.
Okay.
How about the access road? I'm a little bit familiar with that out there. I'm just curious, that's, you're probably going to need more.
Absolutely. So part of the East-West Corridor project, we would build our private extension that would join up with that. And actually, that project would really benefit from a development such as the one at Walkers Bluff. So Walkers Bluff would benefit from the new road or the improvements there in the short term, but that's a project that has been championed by the leaders in the region for about 5 or 6 years. So we just come along at the right time.
Would part of the improvements be in Williamson County or all in Jackson, or do you know?
Currently, the resort, all of it is planned for Williamson County on a ridge line that's out of the floodplain.
Well, see, that's a wise decision right there. Forget Jackson County.
That'll lower your taxes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No other question? Okay. We thank you so much.
All right.
Oh, we got to do the resolution.
Yeah.
That's on item 13.
And I brought drafts of the resolution. If you care for them, I'll just pass them down.
Oh, they're down at the bottom.
Discussion approval.
Yeah, okay.
Number 13.
13.
I'll make the motion to support Resolution 2016-19.
Make a second.
Okay. You've all read through it, and you're conversant with the terms. Got a motion to approve Resolution 2016-19, and we have a second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay. Oh, there, you went back. Okay. You're in business as far as we're concerned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else now we need to take? All right. Anthony, what do you got? We'll get to the agenda. Just want to know if you have anything.
No, I don't. Well, my item's on the agenda.
You're number 2.
Am I?
No.
Yeah.
You don't have anything particular on the agenda?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You sure I'm number 2?
You're number 3.
3, that's what I thought. Number 2 is a police pension.
Steve Hale.
Number 3, item 3.
Well, it's not coming up.
Number 2, Steve Hale.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
It's not coming up.
What is it?
Number 3, item 3 is not coming up.
Just go off that.
Yeah.
See, that's the
Yeah, I
trouble
just-
with those high-tech
Yeah.
gadgets.
Yeah. We bring before you tonight, as last meeting, we had Zenner Corporation here. We bring before the council tonight to approve the new meter reading system for the water department. And we recommend to the council to accept Zenner, the contract of Zenner. I don't have that either, so.
Well, what,
Tracy?
Briefly, what would this do?
Actually, this will initially deal with our residential meters. We will replace 6,923 3/4-inch meters and 1,003 1-inch meters. And we will be replacing everything. Meter, register, the whole works.
Except the meter well.
Except the meter well, yes. We did some tests since the last meeting with our existing meter base. They did a test. Zenner did a test with the new reading system, and they were not compatible with each other. But we knew that, and that's what we expressed to the council the last time, that these were becoming obsolete, and that our need for replacing these was right now and in the future. So it's...
Well, we don't have an agreement to consider tonight.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
We do?
Where is it?
yeah.
Anthony, is this for just TIF districts
No,
only?
this is
It's
for the
citywide?
whole citywide.
Yeah.
We're gonna take that money that we had used in debt service to pay for other projects that came out of the water department. The Shane Lane water tower is one of them. What was the other one, Glenn? 148? Water line on 148 was another. And it came to approximately, let's say, $1.7 million that we can reimburse the water department through the TIF fund, and that is what we'll pay for this expenditure.
Okay, now, right at that point, I think maybe a representative needs to, you want to hold forth here?
In terms of the agreement? Or
Yeah.
Yes.
Your attorney has reviewed the contract?
I don't care what he's done, I want to know.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have the contract?
I have a copy of my contract.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it.
I'm Dave Albin with Utility Pipe Sales. I wasn't at the last meeting. I had something come up, but some of our representatives were here. I think he's going to get the contract, but we have...
It's nice if we're going to consider the contract, it would be good if we had it.
Yes.
There was one on your desk, too.
Yeah.
I never look at my desk.
It's just for $1.7 million. Actually,
And that's what I want to talk about.
$1,694,000, actually.
Yeah, okay.
And the commentary on the contract, there were 3 items
I don't have them with me.
that were requested. After he had a chance to review it, there were 3 items that he asked us to address. One was arbitration in Illinois as opposed to Texas, which we will make that change, so that if there's any arbitration that needs to be done, it will occur here in Illinois as opposed to Texas. As far as after the initial 2-year term of the contract, he would prefer that you guys be able to terminate that with 30 days written notice. Again, we're going to make that change to his liking. And that he would like to, if the contract is terminated, that they would continue to have the software and have access to the software that supports your meters. And again, we're in agreement that we can do that. The only downside is, if you terminate the contract and don't pay the maintenance fees associated with it, future upgrades, future enhancements, all that stuff is kind of part of that package. But the request was, can we terminate and still retain access to the software? And the answer is yes.
That's because we're going to self-host this.
Yeah, we've given you both options as to whether you want us to host the data or to you to host the data. So either way is okay with us, and we draft the language to the contract appropriately if you own it or we host it.
Okay, now the total amount of this is what, 1.7?
It's
Well, it's almost 700.
Yeah, 1.7 roughly.
Yeah, okay. Now, how do you expect that to be paid?
How do we expect that to be paid?
I know in cash, but aside from that.
Well, as I understand the plan, and we have to kind of work out some of the details, you guys you're going to install the meters yourselves. We come in and we do all the infrastructure, and we put the reading antennas and the reading equipment in. Then once that's finished and tested, your folks are trained, then we begin shipping you meters. You begin ordering meters as you need them over the course of the next 14 months, and you install them. And then we would, after you've received the meters, you've installed the meters, then we would invoice. And 30 to 45 days after that would be payment would be due.
I think what he was wanting to know, that we don't have to pay you up front.
Oh, no, you pay it as you receive the materials.
Yeah.
Okay, it's sort of a pay-as-you-go.
Yes,
Now-
absolutely.
Now, there will be direct payment for the infrastructure of $107,000.
Yes.
And the software.
$26,900.
$26,900.
Yeah, $26,900, right.
But now there's where we get into hosting. And over a course of 3 years, by us hosting and not paying that hosting fee, we'll basically get that back.
Yeah, you're going to save, you're going to save money over the course of the term of the contract by hosting your service.
When Steve looked at this, he,
Thank you. Thank you.
actually what you'll do there is add the $1,559,000 and the
Plus
134. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we'll pay the $107,000 and the hosting fee.
Well, that's what I was interested in. How much are we going to pay up front?
Roughly 107 and 27, so $134,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's after, we would install it, we would test it, we would have it up and running, and then we would submit an invoice for payment.
Thank you.
So as far as timing of the expense, it's probably going to be next year before you would see an invoice.
One minor issue that came up last time we discussed was the small antennas or whatever it is that's going to be on the meter wells. People hit them accidentally. I mean, is that, I guess, homeowners' responsibility? If so, how much does one of them things cost?
The cost of the meter and the little apparatus, the lock that locks it in just under the meter lid is $130.
That's including the meter?
That's just the radio. It's if you throw the meter in, you're looking at $173, but the only thing you would have to replace would be the radio itself.
Well, I think what Jim is asking, suppose a guy's not paying attention when he's mowing the grass and he mows down this gadget.
I can just tell you what other folks do. Other folks, other cities, other municipalities, if they forgive that $130, they do it one time, and then every time after that, it's on you. Everybody kind of makes their own policies depending upon their
Okay, I see if it's forgiven, then who picks up the forgiven amount?
The city.
The city would, yeah.
We're actually putting the first one in.
Yeah.
And it's the past practice of the water department for as long as those two back there have been with us, and they're anxious that the homeowner picks up that cost of that disc.
And I think that's what most people do. Some people are a little bit less, or more forgiving, I guess you might say. So,
it's no different running over a fire hydrant.
As far as height, yeah, it's a little wider, but the height of the...
Well, that's something to be determined by the city council.
That's a city decision.
Okay.
How many of those, Scott, do we do a year? Half a dozen, dozen?
Oh, we probably do more than that. We probably do 20, 30, something like that. Hope people, after the first time, they don't do it again. You run into a lot of people that have tires out, yards being mowed, and newcomers get on them sometimes like that, but that gets worked out between the customers.
Is there any way of installing these gadgets that would help prevent their destruction?
There is. It would involve you guys have all your lids prepared for the installation, and so you've got everything ready to go. Without additional expense, there's really no way to make it bulletproof, I guess. But you would have to spend additional dollars to do that.
What he installs is about the same size as the pad right now. It's not any higher right there.
Yeah, it's a little wider, but the height, which is the important thing, is about the same.
Well, what we need to do is to advise everybody to set their lawnmower so that it's 4 inches high. Then they can run over these gadgets every day and won't hurt them.
Well, on the street, right?
I don't think somebody wants to be hitting that metal meter well anyway.
Right, yeah, because they're also going to hit that, if they hit the place where the radio, or the antenna comes through the lid, they're going to hit a cast iron lid as well.
It's going to be probably the smallest cost they got.
Yeah, they're going to have to do something with their lawnmower.
Okay, any other question? All right, if not, what is your pleasure?
It's my motion to accept the proposal of Zinner for the buying of the hardware, the hardware and the software and the infrastructure for a new meter reading system for the city of Marion.
I'll second that.
Okay, now, we need to include a little more detail than that. We don't mention any money. So are you going to include in your motion the proposal submitted by Utility Pipe Sales
And let me get
in the amount of $1,559,803?
It's actually going to be more than that, Mayor.
Well, plus the 103.
It's 104.
134.
Yeah.
You want to just do the entire cost?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to fragment it.
$1,000,007. 7 something, 30 something. Right at it.
Ready?
Ready.
Got $1,694,210.59.
Okay, important is, did Dallas get that?
With the changes requested by our city attorney.
Well, are those changes approved?
They are approved.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right. Now I think we're ready to vote. Call the roll. Oh, wait a minute, did we get a second?
Yes, John did.
Okay, call the roll.
Commissioner Ranella.
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
And Mayor Butler.
Yay. Looks like we're in business.
Golly.
She's out of order.
Where are the eggs? The hen just laid something.
Just my neighbor, she's out back there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I want to say something. There's 3 people back there that put a lot of time into this, a lot of time, and they traveled 3 different places, looking at different systems. I got a disparaging call from one of the competitors today, and but you expect that when you're talking about this type of money, and that's okay. And every time we had somebody come in, we still found no way to vary from our choice that we made tonight. And,
Okay, thank you. That
Thank
takes
you.
care of that. Yes, sir. Speaking of money, I got a letter today from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources having to do with the project PARC 11-22. Dear Mayor Butler, the department has received your final billing request for the above referenced project, and I am pleased to advise that final grant reimbursement in the amount of $1,250,000 has been approved. The project he's talking about is the Hub Recreation Center. We've been waiting for a year and longer for this news. It says, accordingly, a voucher for that amount has been processed, and a warrant from the State Comptroller's Office should be forwarded to you within the next 30 days. On behalf of the Department of Natural Resources, I would like to congratulate the City of Marion on the successful completion of this project. Your commitment in helping to improve quality public recreation opportunities in Illinois is greatly appreciated. So that is good news from the state, which is a rare commodity.
Okay, let's leave it at that. You probably felt like Rod Tidwell on Jerry Maguire. You're slow, but you come around, and I got nothing but love for you.
Yeah. Well, Of
That'll
course,
pay for his water project nearly.
No, that money goes
it
back.
goes
to the
right
cash
back
reserve.
because we took it out of the reserve.
Yes.
So, but I thought that was good news, and I wanted to share it with everybody. Okay.
We skipped number 2, Mayor.
Yeah, I was going to go back to that. All right, Steve, you want to talk to us about the estimated property tax?
Okay. It's about that time of year again where the council will have to decide on a levy that you need to do. Before we I actually get into the levy numbers, there's a couple of things that we need to look at. Before the pensions can make their formal requests, which we have here, they're required to report to the municipality on the status of each of the pensions. And I believe there you have those in your packet. Under item number 2, if you look at page 4, for instance, this is the fire pension required report. And it says at the top, required reporting to municipality by pension board. And the first one should be the fire pension. Do you see it there by chance? If you look on the first page, it gives you the total assets of the pension fund for the fire is $9,512,955 is their total pension. I'll just give a couple of key numbers here. The pension is currently funded at 67.40%. Last year's amount was 67.59%. So it went down a little bit, and it went down based upon the return rate. Last year's return rate was 5.82%. This year's rate of return was 0.21%.
What?
Yeah. With the market and the things that happened, it was all strictly due to that. You're going to see the same drop, not as much, but close to it within the police pension fund.
Okay, where were these assets invested that we had that kind of a hit?
If you look currently, if you turn back under required reporting there, if you look at your last page for the pension fund, after the 2 pages of required reporting, you have their investment policy there, which they're required to give to the council. And then after the investment policy, you will see where then is the breakout of their assets. And of that $9.5 million, they had $3,845,000 in treasuries, 140 in agency funds, about 94 in local and state obligations, 696,000 in corporate bonds, 981,000 in mutual funds, 1,530,000 in exchange traded funds, which is basically a mutual fund that is sold on the stock exchange, along with and then 1,536,000 in common and preferred stocks. And we had a big hit in the market last year, and so it's like I said, the year before they did almost 6%. This year they just barely, and that's after paying the money managers, is that 0.21% is. So they netted about $42,000 in investment income, and after paying the money managers, they netted about $20,000 is what they did. But you're going to see that every year. It's going to be up and down like that.
I'm glad I don't let them handle my investment.
Yeah. They currently now, at one time they had various brokers they worked with, and now both pension funds are with the same money manager. So now we should see some greater consistency there.
Is that PNC?
Yeah, PNC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bank. We work with the trust department out of St. Louis. Mm-hmm. Both pensions do.
Well, now, wasn't at one time the fire department, their unfunded liability is 71%, and the general accounting practices changed their formula, which dropped both the police and fire back? Was that not last year or the year before last?
That is correct. Yes,
we have no control over that.
Right. In fact, he actually says in his letter here that versus the state, and we'll get into that more when you look at the recommended levy versus the statutory minimum you can give. Is based upon that. The recommended levy is based upon 100% funding versus the statutory levy, which is a much lower amount. It's based upon 90% funding. They use a different funding rate. Really gets complex. The actuary that the city and the pension funds hire believes that if you use the same formula that the state uses, that you're greatly underfunding your pensions, and it's like the old oil filter commercial. You're either going to pay me now or you're going to pay me later on the frame oil filter commercial. Same thing here, he believes, that the amount you're going to end up paying in the future will be a much greater amount by not properly funding it now.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we've always paid somewhere between the...
Yes, we've already paid in between, but you're right, though, it did increase it with the new Gatsby pronouncement. Then, and we're doing that too, and also then by increasing us, and it also is going to reduce, it helps keep at a manageable level the liability for our financial statements also. I mean, that also plays into it. But I want to read something, and I'll read it in the police pension too. The actuary did note this though. He said as a percentage of total pension liabilities, the liabilities for inactive participants represent over 51% of the total liabilities. This is a moderately disturbing statistic. And with the police pension, that amount is 71%. In other words, of the total unfunded liabilities, 71% is inactive participants, and in the police pension, he doesn't say that's a moderately disturbing. He said it is disturbing. And that's one of the reasons, too, why you're seeing why we're having to contribute, because we are having to pay in for non-contributing members, because we have so many people who are either retired or on disability, that it's a much greater portion than it is with other pensions. This is a point he's trying to make.
Yeah, well, of course, that gets back, I think, to the nomenclature of the Police and Fire Pension Board. They are the ones who determine whether or not a participant is entitled to a disability pension rather than regular pension on retirement. Now, doesn't this add considerably to our pension liability?
That does add into it, no question about it, and that's what he is saying. Okay. The one thing, though, that both pension boards have done, they have now hired a pension board attorney. The man that they both have hired and put on retainer, he is an attorney who does nothing but pension work. Works with police and fire pensions all over the state. And he's going to make sure that they cross every T and dot every I and do the procedures necessary.
Yeah, that would be in the future.
In the future.
Now, right. I've heard rumors that we have some personnel who are drawing disability, and yet they're working full-time in other jobs. Now, is there some provision that we can check that out and do something about it?
Okay. What is required is that for every participant who's on disability, who's under the age of 50, they're required, the pension board's required to have them have a physical to determine whether or not they are still disabled, but disabled for a firefighter or a police officer. In other words, they could still hold another job that would not meet the same requirements as a firefighter or police officer would, and even though they're still holding a job somewhere, they could still be held as disabled because they cannot meet the job description of the firefighter or police officer.
Well, I've got 2 or 3 things wrong with that. Why do they stop at the age under 50?
Because they stop at age 50 because that's what the statute calls for.
That's the minimum, retirement age.
Yeah, that's the minimum retirement age.
Yeah. So if you got a guy that's 60 and he's perfectly healthy, he's got another job, full-time, and yet he's drawing a disability, we can't do anything about it.
No, sir. But the same person at age 60 could be fully retired too. I mean, they could have gone on just natural retirement.
Yeah, but they don't have to.
No, also too. What's really hurting you are the ones who are under 50.
Okay.
Those are the ones that's kind of throwing everything.
Okay. Who calls for them to have the examination?
The pension board does.
Oh, boy.
They're required to, yes. In fact, we are working with the attorney right now to make sure he's worked with medical providers in the past, which he's comfortable with, who will give a thorough and complete exam and give an honest opinion whether or not that person is still disabled or not.
Well, you also need to explain now the pension boards are not made up like they used to be.
I hope not.
They're made up of representatives from the fire and police and the city.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, the city is a minority. So that.
No, we're not.
No.
Oh, well, tell me, what's the makeup? What's the nomenclature of the pension boards?
Yeah. It's made up of two active participants, a retired participant, and then 2 appointed members by the city.
Okay, so the city's representation is in the minority to start with.
Now, that would be correct, yes.
Yeah. So you're still in the box. If the brothers want to take care of the brother, there's nothing you can do about it. There's something wrong with that picture.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we are in the process now of getting some of these people examined by the unbiased doctor. Is that going on?
Yes, it is. Yes. In fact, one of the pensions, I won't give any detail, but one of the pensions are actually having a hearing on a person who is currently disabled to determine whether or not that person is able to come back to work.
Okay, well, I'm interested in examining the guy under 50 who is full-time employed. That bothers me.
Right. Now, here again, we're not looking at whether that person's full-time employed or not. That provider's...
you determine his physical condition.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to be objective about it.
Yeah.
But if he's operating full-time and as a laborer digging ditches, and yet he can't qualify as a fireman because of his supposed disability, that bothers me.
Of course, what becomes a whole different issue if, in fact, then the pension board certifies that he can come back to work and say he agrees or he appeals it and he loses an appeal, then it becomes now then the city has to, and if is that correct, then the city has to allow him to come back to work, do they not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, there is a position open or not.
Yeah, well, there's a position open or not.
Then you know.
All right, so all right, he comes back to work, supposedly.
Another can of worms.
Yeah, all right, he comes back to work, and supposedly he could do what he should and be paid for the labor, which I like a whole lot better than the guy skimming off of the pension because he's still employed 100%.
But Steve, isn't the final arbiter the city council?
No, city council.
I mean, once they grant the, once the pension board grants the disability, does it not go before the city council after that, or is that the end all?
Anthony's shaking his head no, and he would know. He knows more about that than I would.
No, see, the city council is almost powerless, and that's why the two most powerful lobbies in Springfield are the police and fire pension. The legislators are not going to do anything against Chevrolet's motherhood and apple pie, and that's the perception. And where does that leave us? We're the guys that have got to come up with the money to pay the freight. And I dearly love the police and firemen, but right's right and wrong is wrong, and I think we're being wronged. So anyhow, anything else?
Well, yeah, that's, I mean, really and truly, that's just part of the problem. That once they're granted that disability, then we pay the entire cost of their hospitalization.
There's no end to how we get.
It's just part of the problem.
Good.
Barely to their 65.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and just mention a few numbers with the, on the police pension and their required reporting. With the fire pension is currently under $10 million, so they can do 45%, up to 45% in equity, and then the rest of it must be what we refer to as fixed income. Okay, and that's what they pretty much hold. The police now, its value as of April 30th of this year was $10,520,000. So now, if you look at their policy, their investment policy, since they are now over $10 million, they can go from 45% up to 65% in equities, versus and then just 35% in fixed instruments. Okay,
as long as their financial advisor doesn't get into exotic investment.
And they're not. Trust me, I'm very familiar with all the investments. I look at them on a monthly basis, and they're not at all. But anyway, though, the ratio for the police is unfunded. The funded portion is 54.67%, and it was roughly 55.5% the year before. Last year's rate of return was 7.72, which was better than their 6.75 2 years ago. I'm sorry. In this current year, it was down to 1.68. Here again, because of the market conditions. Not good at all, not quite bad as the fire, but still, 1.68 is just fine.
People advising both.
Yes, now. Yeah, they pretty much now got the same advisors, they've got the same attorney. So we should, Oh, yeah, exactly. It may just be in a different amount, but basically they will now be a little bit different because now the police can do more equity than what the fire can. But other than that, the investments are the same, yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Steve, how do we compare to the other cities around us? I mean, are we?
Well,
not bad. Not bad.
I mean,
I haven't done a detailed review of it.
The Southern did a couple years ago, and Marion is much better.
Well, something everybody's kind of plagued with, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I think everyone's been hurt by the recent, by recent changes and stuff too. Right.
Yeah, and like I said, and we've talked about this before. We have to live by these formulas that we have no say in. And just a couple of years ago, they changed this formula. Well, it cut our unfunded liability of both departments by 5%. And and that's a big deal.
Well, having said all that, if we come up with the system that we usually follow, how much are we going to increase the property tax?
Okay, if you look at that summary page, and that's the page you need to look at, is that summary page, and we'll go through that. You need time to look at it. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. Got lots of numbers on it. Kind of gives you a history. You got it there, Jim? Okay. Okay. Now you see here. No, the page before that.
Okay.
That one there.
Okay.
That one there, yeah. Yeah, so you got item number 2 on it.
Item number 2, okay, I've got that.
Right. Just for you to look at later on, the page right after that gives you a history of, from 1995 till this past year, fire and police levy, the percentage it was of the assessed value, and gives you the assessed value with the increases in the assessed value or decreases since 1995. That kind of gives you, just gives you some good background information.
Well, what do you figure the percentage is going to increase?
Okay, what I did now, for this year then, the last year's assessed valuation was $307,166,097. So I said, okay, I'm going to work with $310 million, because the county cannot give you any updated information. So I'm working with $310 million assessed valuation, okay? Based upon that, okay, the recommended amount for let's start with the police. The recommended amount for the police pension by the actuary was $1,102,293, okay? His minimum amount was $745,243. Last year we did $850. Is what we levied, $850,000. Okay. Now then, I have versus putting the full amount under the current year, I put $1 million even.
So that would be an increase of $250,000.
Right. Now the reason I put actually $150,000. The reason I put $1 million is because we cannot levy more than $1 million in the pension, because our current budget we're working under, even though it's under a different fiscal year, you can't levy more than what your appropriation is. Yeah. Okay, there are ways, if you wanted to fund the full amount, there's ways we can get around it by levying money for another source like IMRF, which would free you up then to put cash into there. But anyway, just using $1 million though, and that would be a 17.65% increase. On the fire pension, we did $550 last year. The actuary is recommending $657,794. His minimum amount is $478,463. We had appropriated $700,000. So I'm using the full amount of the recommended amount for the actuary. Okay? So that's an increase of that's an increase then of what? $107,794. Yeah. 19.60% increase. I'm levying the same dollar amount for the recreation levy, $140,000. That would give us in a total levy of $1,797,794. Last year's total.
What's the rate then?
The rate then, based upon $310 million, would be 0.57993.
Okay.
Okay, that's all on your schedule there.
Yeah.
Okay, and I compute over to the side. I compute on a house that's valued, not assessed valuation, but is valued at $100,000. There would be an increase of approximately $26, or the total amount would be $193. That would go to the city of their total property tax bill.
But this increase would be
$26. That's right.
What was that increase last year, Steve? Was it?
Last year, I don't have that dollar amount. Last year, we were able to. We actually went down a little bit in the percent of the levy of $100 for valuation. We went from .50786 down to .50134. And the reason we were able to do that last year is because, if you recall, we used to levy a bond. There was one bond issue, we levied $150,000 a year. And we got rid of that last year and said, okay, this year we're going to pay that with sales tax. And use that 150 to help offset the pension increases. This is what we did last year. This year we don't have anything to offset the pension increases with.
Now, I got a question. You say projected property tax total is 193. Now, just what does that mean?
That's based on a $100,000 home, right?
Yes. Yeah, based on that I estimated that on a home at $100,000 that they would pay if the city was the only thing that was being levied on their property tax bill.
Yeah.
Well, their property tax bill would be $193.
No, wait. I'm not tracking you.
Estimated.
You're saying the city tax?
Yes.
Would be $193?
Yes.
Out of it, well, what would the total tax be?
I think that's the total tax, and the pension is $26, right?
What now?
No, pension.
Or increase.
Yeah, that would be that would be the total tax that the city would assess. And you get, like you said, if you're looking at 100,000, their total bill would be at 7%. Well, their total bill would be $2,100 or better.
And we're saying that the city is going to get 193 of that?
Mm-hmm.
For the pensions?
No, for the pension and recreation, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that comes out to about 0.57.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
Okay.
Now here again,
I like it, but
yeah. Now I've done this early enough. You can do a couple of things. You can go ahead. What we're required to do, you're required to, before you can pass anything, you're required to estimate what you think the property taxes are going to be. And then that starts the clock running for us then to go ahead and do what we need.
Okay, what's your proposed estimate?
Okay, well, what I gave you is the number there, what I proposed. Now, you can vote on it tonight, or you can estimate it tonight, or I've came to you early enough where if you want to think about it, you can think about it and do it at the next council, and we still have plenty of time to do the levy.
Well, now, are you thinking here what the actuary recommended?
Well, we're short by $102,000 on the police side with that million. Now, it would increase the total pension cost. If you wanted to fund that $102,000 with property tax, we could put an amount, in a levy amount for IMRF, the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund.
We don't do that.
Which we pay with sales tax, okay?
We pay that with sales tax.
Exactly.
Why would you want to put that in the property tax?
Well, then that would allow you then, if you wanted to, then that would allow you then to use the since you're paying then $102,000 with property tax, say $102,000, that would allow you then to use $102,000 of sales tax to pay and bring you up to the $1,102,000. Follow me?
Yes.
But that's strictly up to you. We did not meet the recommended amount. When we passed the levy last year, we did not do the recommended amount that the actuary had recommended. You went between the two amounts.
Well, isn't that what we usually have done in the past?
Yeah. Well, we had last year we weren't able to because it was just a large increase because of the change in the formula that their actuary used. Is why we come pretty close to doing it, and with that large increase, it just wasn't, it wasn't possible.
Yeah, well, we know where the fault is, and that's with the National Association of CPAs.
Well, it's actually the Governmental Accounting Standards Board.
Yeah, and the CPAs are paddling the canoe and we're in it and we're going over the falls.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not suggesting we shoot all the CPAs.
Oh, that's good.
There's one exception.
Yeah. I'm happy.
So
And you know,
if we look at this, point 0.53 will be for pensions, and then the other 5 will be for rec tax, right?
yes, 4.5 would be for rec tax. That's right. Now here then, this is based upon an assessed valuation of $310 million. If the assessed valuation goes up,
this will go down.
This will go down. The dollar amount will stay the same, but our percent will go down.
Yeah.
If the 310 is too high, our percent will go up.
Oh, it won't be too high.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No.
No, I think if anything, it's going to be, with all the building that we've done in the city, I think if anything, it's going to be, I've underestimated it.
Yeah. Better be conservative.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, having said all that, what should we do this evening?
That's up to you. You can go ahead, and if you're happy with this, with what I have done here.
No.
Or if you're willing to go with this, then you just need to estimate it. It can be changed. This is only an estimate.
I'm not happy with it, but we'll have to accept it for the time being.
Estimate, I would estimate, just have a motion and a second to estimate this year's property tax levy at $1,797,800.
Okay, and that gives us a tax rate of?
That gives a tax rate of say 0.58.
Okay, very good. All right, who makes the motion?
I do.
Second.
Second, call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay. Thank you, Steve. Okay, where are we?
Does it bother you that he smiles when he gives us that
Bad news?
That bad news.
You know who that reminds me of?
No, don't say it.
That reminds me of Hillary Clinton.
Oh, he didn't hear that.
She smiles. I think if the world were coming to an end, she'd still
Where you
be
guys
smiling.
going? We're not through yet.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you didn't tell us what you've learned.
Tracy? Yep.
Oh, Boy Scout.
Gonna get them home, get some homework.
Yeah, well, very good.
Hey, guys.
I hope you guys
Thank
learned
you
something.
for your help on October the 8th. Without you, we couldn't have done it. We had so many favorable comments from those that come and left their electronics. They said it was curbside service at its best. And we appreciate that, and we're going to have another one next year, so we'll see you there. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, fellas. Okay, let's get on here, item 4. What's this about, bids to remove concrete, fire station, and drive, all costs to be paid through TIF funds. Okay, who's got, oh, there he is.
I guess I will.
Tell us about it.
We was looking at replacing the driveway at the fire station, tearing out the concrete and the asphalt, and Commissioner Webb came down and looked at it. Also, Glenn with Clarity Engineering looked at it. Recommendation was to tear out the old concrete. It's busting up and getting some holes formed in it. Remove the asphalt that's in the back parking lot because it's all busted up. And then we're putting in a drive on the backside, so pouring concrete around the training tower and where the ITEX building is. So really, we're just asking for council approval for Clarity Engineering to move forward with trying to get bids on this.
Okay, we need a motion for Clarity Ziegler to get bids on the project. Is that right?
Yes.
I'll make that motion. And I will say, Mayor, I have looked at it, and the asphalt's beyond repair, so we'd have to do something with it anyway, and we've got quite a bit of broken concrete and gravel, and, that's a high-traffic area where the exercises and stuff they do, so, it might prevent an accident from happening, so.
Got a motion?
I'll second it.
Second, call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay.
Preliminary estimate on that, Bob, is about 133,000.
133. And TIF will be available for that? Okay, sounds good.
One thing I was just saying is we do have to figure that in our TIF budget. That wasn't one of our capital projects we lined up for this year.
Well,
You get something after all, Jim.
Yeah, that won't be a problem. Okay, what happened to the ladder truck that it got hurt?
Yeah, we had some damage to the ladder truck. It was at a fire the other night, and it was actually in the water tower. The waterway was in rescue mode. The sensor was saying it was in the water tower mode, so when they charged the hydrant, it pushed the waterway all the way to the end of the ladder, and it cracked the rungs on the third rungs from the top. We didn't get the bids back today. I was hoping to get the bids back. I've got a feeling it's going to be more than 5,000. I don't think it will be over 10, but we just want council approval to.
So Jim needs to make a motion to approve up to 10,000.
Jerry, I might ask, are they going to look at that sensor too, since that's the culprit? I mean.
They're looking at replacing the sensor, also the locking device. They're hoping that there's an upgrade in that, so it's a little bit better than what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I'd make that my motion, Mayor.
Second. Call roll.
Commissioner Ranella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay. Thank you, young man.
Thank you.
Okay. Chris?
Okay, absolutely. All right, Mayor, Council, Commissioners. First, thank you very much, representing on behalf of the Hub Recreation Center, thank you for your years of perseverance, Gail West as well, of procuring the grant that made the Hub Recreation Center possible. So it took many years, I know, for it to come to fruition, and it was great news to hear that grant is going to come through and has been approved. So thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate that.
We have one, believe it or not, we have one higher recommendation on the agenda, because I know we have quite a few over the course of the time that we've been staffing the Hub Recreation Center. So I think that's probably a pretty good positive indication that we're coming to a stability of staffing, as well as maybe in the cycle of hiring that we're at right now. So that particular point on item 6 is higher recommendation of Jessica Pemberton as part-time employee in both the categories of lifeguard for a pay rate of $9.50, as well as swim instructor at $20 per hour for those duties. So that's the single higher recommendation that I've got.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. Call roll.
Commissioner Ranella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
And Mayor Butler?
Yay. Thank you, young man.
Thank you, appreciate it. And if I may give council an update on the incident, the mechanical failure that we had on Friday at the Hub Recreation Center that required fire department response. And I want to say thank you to, I think he's gone now, but thank you, Chief Odom, for their department response, obviously very prompt response and assistance with identifying the problem when it occurred. On Friday, just this past Friday, just before 11 a.m., the East Aquatics Center air handler experienced a mechanical failure, which essentially was bearings that went out. Through the bearing shaft housing, out of the bearing housing the shaft of a large blower on the East Aquatic Center air handler unit. This created an odor of, basically from that mechanical failure, an odor of the metal against metal, as well as a haze of smoke in the Aquatic Center, at which we evacuated the Aquatic Center immediately. And then immediately afterward, evacuated the hub in general. So it took about 20 minutes, at which point we got the all clear from the fire department. I permitted access back into the building with the exception of the Aquatic Center. And that aquatic center was reopened at 2 p.m. after clearing of smoke, as well as the haze of smoke, as well as getting the west air handler back up and running. So once we were able to do that, we reopened at 2 o'clock. During that process, shortly after, HSG contractors were called to assess the damage and identify what our next steps would be. They're in the process now of identifying what level of what their estimate, what their quote's going to be relative to materials and labor. The process of removing the whole assembly of the blower and shaft and assembly is about a 2 to 2.5 day process as far as the labor and process goes. So they're following up with the manufacturer of that, of those items, of those units of that assembly, in order to get that.
Warranty?
No, absolutely not, unfortunately.
Is there any probability that Flanders Electric could do that work? They were on much bigger units on a daily basis.
I didn't think so.
If there's any motor components with it, I believe so, but I don't think, for this particular job, I don't believe so.
What, did you contact them?
I'm sorry?
Did you contact them?
Did we contact Flanders in that?
Look at it?
We have not had them come to look at it, no.
I mean, if we can get it done locally, maybe, it won't cost us nothing for them to look at it, and
absolutely,
believe me, if you go down there, they got much bigger units sitting down there they're working on a daily basis than what's on your road.
Obtainment of the, I certainly can do so. Obtainment of the materials will be the same process, but certainly, as far as that labor goes, we can pursue that if you'd like.
I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt.
Our initial process from the preventative maintenance of it was to get our preventive maintenance contractor out, Fowler, and then we recalled them. We stopped them from coming because we recognized the magnitude of that job, but we can certainly pursue that with Flanders.
Do we have any idea the cost it's going to be?
We do not know at this time. It will be above $5,000, but essentially the process of removing that assembly is again about a 2-day process for that portion of it. It'll have to be pulled out with a small crane, brought over, and the new blower assembly put back in, and that's going to require some removal of some of the piping, some of the plumbing, as well as just ensuring that it's done properly. And repairing on site in position is very, very unlikely to be successful, and it's hard to say how many components with the housing, the shroud, the shaft, and all that would be replaceable.
Any idea when you get an estimate from whoever?
HSG is pursuing it very rapidly, and they're staying on the original manufacturer of the components of the air handlers, and that would be Phison. But I've urged him today to really push them and stay on it, and I will contact them directly as well in conjunction with HSG relative to pursuing an answer on that.
To slow this process down, apparently it's going to be more than 5,000. So as quickly as you're getting some estimates, we need to be advised so we can have a special meeting to approve something.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, is that one of these units that were in question?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So would we want to? We have to find out in this process with the quote, what is the lead time on the materials? We are down one air handler unit, and the redundancy is significant because it is redundant. We have been able to maintain our operation. We were closed down for about a 3-hour period of time. So it's critical that we get it back up and running. However, we will report to you the lead time on materials. I'm sorry?
Question.
Okay, well, you don't
so
from us at this time.
Nope, we'll report to you relative to cost estimates and we can pursue as well, first thing in the morning, a Flanders look at it.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be a bad idea. So we can pursue that.
Okay, as soon as you've got...
They have worked on motors and motor replacement for us, so we recognize them as a valuable option within the city, so.
Very good.
Okay.
We thank
Now,
you.
when it comes to taking that thing off of there, we also have a very viable crane service here in Marion, Liberty Crane, that's also part of our revolving loan. We thought so much of them as a...
Yeah, we don't want some crane coming from Paducah.
Right.
Yeah.
I will look into that as well relative to who they use, and I'm in contact with them.
Very good.
A couple times a day, so we'll pursue that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Item 7. Yolanda Peterson, the chairman of the Marion Cultural and Civic Center Board, has recommended the appointment to the board for 3-year terms, Beth Butler, Connie Ash, Betty Damati, and John Pyre, beginning November 1, 2016 through October 31, 2019. What's your pleasure?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Got a second? Call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay. Okay. Engineering agreement for the Hill area sidewalks, item 8. Yeah.
Hopefully you should have a copy of that and the next one in your packet. Those are actual sidewalk TIF projects that Commissioner Goss had already got approval to move on and is authorized us to proceed on. The Hill area is actually one we just took bids on. We're hustling through that and really didn't have an agreement in front of you yet. So that's actually, and we're hopefully to begin construction in a week or so.
Proposed to start construction week from today.
So that both agreements cover the design, and if there's any right-of-way, there's not a whole lot of right-of-way. We're normally trying to stay on the city right-of-way already, and then the construction engineering as well. And then we are beginning design of the downtown area.
Okay, both agreements are the same?
Yeah, both standard agreements, lump sum for design and then hourly for construction engineering.
All boilerplate?
Pretty much. We're going to do all the preliminary engineering. We're going to put the design, we're going to do the bids, we're going to give you a recommendation on award, which, like I said, on the Hill area has already really taken place, but we're in construction.
Okay, what's your pleasure with respect to the engineering agreement for the Hill area sidewalks proposed?
I'll make that motion. We want to do them separately, or?
Yes.
Separately. I'll make a motion for the Hill area sidewalk.
Second.
Second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay. And then we have the same agreement for the downtown area sidewalks.
I'll make that motion for downtown area sidewalk.
Motion made and second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Well, may I ask, why are we having to sign these? We don't usually sign them on each project.
Normally what we've done in the past, the smaller projects, we've got that blanket agreement for hourly. As we do have bigger projects, we've tried to have the engineer.
Well, that's the first thing I recall signing. If you didn't ask, I'm not questioning it. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, sometimes the funding agencies has done it, or we've tried to do here recently because of budgeting and stuff like that too. We've tried to have an agreement, so I don't remember the last one we've done. We've got a couple others that we've tried to, we'll probably have a couple others that we're going to do, a couple sewer projects.
Yeah, I thought we had a blanket agreement, what I was asking.
Yeah, that blanket agreement doesn't define the project. It's that one that we were talking about where if someone comes out of our office and says, hey, we need to look at this ditch project, kind of smaller stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at item number, 10?
Yes.
Okay, Blumenstock Acre subdivision. Who has any information on that?
It's pretty cut and dry. I think Gail Blumenstock brought it to Jim's office, didn't he? Okay, and I think I emailed her at 8.5 by 11. So it's out near Fosse Park. It's a subdivision. Basically, he just wanted to subdivide some property.
When I say just want to subdivide some property, that's obviously that's what a subdivision is, but there's no new roads, no new infrastructure or anything.
That off Thompson?
Yes, that road to the west of Fosse.
Thompson.
Yeah.
4 lots, I think, isn't it? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah, he has this corner at Thompson and Otis.
Yeah.
So Gail Blumenstock owns all that. I think he's got a house already on a couple of these.
Yeah, he has.
Marion,
He
okay.
has.
Yep.
And he just wants to subdivide it.
Yeah, the house
It's
is
on a
right
corner
here.
Like that, there's no new roads, water, sewer, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's basically subdividing the property to sell it off of different lots.
Okay,
The
so,
house down?
That's cut and dried.
That's what I don't know what his plans are. He came to our surveyors, and since there was engineering involved, our surveyors just kind of drew it up for him, and that was kind of it.
okay, we're talking about ordinance number 3354, accepting subdivision platted as Blumenstock Acre subdivisions of the city of Marion.
I move we accept ordinance number 3354.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Ranella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay. Okay, ordinance number 3355. This subdivision platted as CGB, owner David E. Heel and Lynn A. Heel.
That's out by Walmart, isn't it?
No.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Jeff Paulson. I'm here on behalf of the Heels and the proposed developer for this project. This is really just a combination and split of a couple existing parcels. Mr. Heels combining really 3 separate parcels into 2 parcels. Our client is going to be purchasing parcel A for new commercial development, and Mr. Heel will be retaining parcel B. So it's a pretty cut and dry subdivision. It's really a lot combination and a lot split more than a subdivision, but calling it a subdivision, and we need city council's approval on that to proceed with recording it at the county.
Is that Hill's property is an extension of his little strip mall we built out there?
Correct. He has 2 existing buildings there. One's underneath the billboard and one's the Enterprise building.
Yeah.
He's retaining the building underneath the billboard, and Enterprise is going to be moving over there. And our developer is purchasing the building where Enterprise is currently,
Okay.
demolishing that and putting a new building there.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
I move we accept ordinance 3355.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Ranella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, what's this about, 3356? D. Young Development, owned by Rodney Everard, BD Development of Marion. Anybody got anything on that?
Piece of property. Got it on 13. He's building a dental office out there for Dr. Settles, and he owns the whole piece of property where they tore the old building down out by Mediacom on the south side of the road. And he just wanted to split the property in half so he can sell this one off with a dental office and then have the other section for another development. Just a split of property on it, no roads or no nothing in that one either. He's just splitting his property in half.
Okay, very good.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
What's your pleasure?
Yeah,
I'll make the motion.
Motion?
I'll second it.
Second, call the roll.
Commissioner Ranella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
And Mayor Butler?
Yay. Okay, we've already taken care of 13, I believe. Resolution support of Walkers Bluff project.
You have old business.
Well, do we have anybody from Azar Audit Solutions with us?
Here.
It's in the back conference table.
But if you wanted to do old business, then you could finish.
Well,
Just buying a vehicle. It's all doing that old business.
yeah.
That new code officer. huh?
Code officer, that's all that's for.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, where are we on this? Who's,
That's Jim.
That's Jim.
Jim.
purchase a vehicle for,
Hey, mister.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is for the new position.
Yeah, you authorized me to hire a new code officer, which we did at the meeting a couple of weeks ago, and they approved, I have to approve, they purchased a new vehicle, and I had to come back for your approval. I think that's what was left with me, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I went out and found a 2014, or 2012 Ford Escape with about 40,000 miles on it. Looks like a new one. And so that's what I'm asking for, make a recommendation, we purchase this vehicle.
Who's that with? What, that Marion Ford or?
Comes from Absers.
Absers.
how much is it?
Arnold Absers,
It's a
Arnold.
2012 Ford Escape. I'm not familiar with that, but you think this is a good buy?
I think it's a good buy, and it's much easier to work out for the job he's going to be doing than a regular car would be.
14,291.
Yeah, okay. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion he purchase the vehicle, $14,291.27 from Arnold.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Ranella?
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower?
Yay.
Commissioner Webb?
Yay.
Commissioner Goss?
Yay.
Mayor Butler?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anything else here?
I need to pay bills.
Unless you want to listen
Well,
to
let's
Mr.
go
Perry.
ahead and take care of that.
We ready for him?
Yeah,
You're up.
yeah.
Don't you think you'll have Steve?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Esteemed Commissioners.
Hey, how's it going?
Pass that down, please. One for each.
We've already got one.
I may be a little redundant.
One for each hand.
I have one for you, Administrator West, as well. My name is Jason Perriam from Azavar Government Solutions. Thank you for entertaining again a motion at tonight's council meeting to enter into an agreement for Azavar on a contingent fee basis to maximize the city of Marion's revenues. You met with our local representative at the last council meeting, and I understand there were some outstanding questions I want to make sure get addressed and answered. And if there are new questions, I'm certainly the person that can help get them addressed and answered. And there's some folders there, Commissioner Hightower. I don't know if those materials were in everyone's hands or if you so desire them to be in everyone's hands, because everything is electronic these days as well. We can produce them for you electronically. I've listened this evening to a lot about property tax, and I just wanted to note that this is the third and very close running source of revenue for the city after sales taxes. Mr. West, thank you. And after working with 150-plus communities in Illinois, Marion certainly does a good job of providing services while having a very low EAV and collecting a very small portion of property taxes. Albeit, it may be frustrating, I understand, in some parts of town. Azavar Solutions is going to be able to assist and support the staff in Marion. City Administrator West has had opportunities to talk with some of our senior analysts. I spoke with City Attorney Green about our agreement and about some questions that he had, and I'll share, and a few references from comparably or similarly situated communities. But primarily, I think the questions that I noticed in the video that I watched from our local representative, Travis, from the last council meeting, related to staff time, related to, and I've got a presentation, and I've got here as well all those questions jotted down. So I'm going to pop them up, and I'm going to remind you who stated them. if that's helpful. First, Commissioner Goss had some concerns about consuming a lot of city time. This program is going to maximize the revenues for the city of Marion using our proprietary software and our expert staff on a fully contingent fee basis. So number one, we don't cost any money. And the first thing I was told when we worked with the first city we ever worked with for free was that you also got to make sure you don't take up much or any of the city's time, because the city staff has little to no time, and would I be remiss if I stated you've got many items on the plate? Okay. This is not something that we have never, this is not something we don't encounter. We encounter it quite frequently. And that is exactly why we exist. And we exist to be able to support local staff and support the city council in ensuring that Marion is getting every penny it's due. And where it's not, we will spend our staff's time to correct those errors going forward, and where there are monies in the past that are due to Marion, we will make a reasonable effort to attempt to collect those monies and return those to the city of Marion. Now, there's a number of communities that we work with, and I dare say the area, because I've been told by other Southern Illinois Mayor Association members that Effingham is darn too far north. So Effingham is certainly one of the communities we work with in the area and have returned monies to, both correcting errors for the future and returning monies for the past. And when I talked to one of the questions that came up at the last council meeting was from City Attorney Green about some of our communities that we work with. I provided him some similarly situated communities and have some phone numbers and email addresses for him this evening. But he wanted to make sure that certainly we have worked with similarly sized towns with similar types of issues, with similar types of demographics, and I've just saw two developers leave out of the council chambers with approved ordinances for new subdevelopments. So ensuring that the taxes that are authorized and or administered by the city are being properly and fully remitted to the city is what, as of our, will support the city staff and support the council through our work. Once our work is complete, we have come to get feedback from our other local government clients that they would like tools to monitor and even make sure if an error comes up in the future to be able to correct or deal or address with errors and not have to pay ASVAR for it, at least on a contingent fee basis. And we are actually doing that now. I heard one of the things that the City Administrator West was talking about in the last council meeting was working with the Ameren local government portal and ensuring that addresses are accurate. And indeed, that is a very useful tool. That local government portal is a godsend from Ameren because it provides some transparency. Unfortunately, it doesn't provide the data that tells us when Ameren collected the tax and if they collected the tax accurately. Those are just a list of active or inactive accounts. We have no transparency as to whether they're active or inactive. And there are some specific state statutes under which we operate to protect the privacy of customers. So for tools like that, we actually have built a layer on top of that government portal that will utilize that data, and then in agreement with Ameren have certain reports that they will provide to the city going forward that will ensure that the city is indeed not only getting the transparency to what addresses are active and inactive, but also which are actually part of the aggregate dollar amount that Ameren is remitting to the city on a monthly basis. And from that, we'll then be able to identify if there are any issues. And remember, Ameren also, the city has a 5% utility tax, a municipal utility tax, and some of you may remember this, back in the 70s. This goes along with the, tell you a quick story and make sure I get all the questions answered. Back in the 70s and the new Constitution, there was a pact between the legislature and local governments. Part of it was utilities and part of it was replacing income taxes to local governments with the corporate property personal replacement tax, over which we've recently seen $168 million error by the Illinois Department of Revenue. So those are all, that's one other agency or remitter that we, as part of Marion's team, hold accountable. And the other thing I heard from early in the meeting from Mayor Butler was there will be no more opportunities for local governments like Marion to get money from the state. More money. There will only be opportunities for communities and local governments like Marion and others to make sure that you're getting the money that you are due and to levy more or new revenues, because the state is in just as much or many challenges as many local governments do, and we've all seen that. So, as a local government, as a municipality, Marion, it's important from a good government perspective to make sure that is getting every penny it's due with the opportunity to make sure there's equitability, to make sure everyone's paying their fair share. I'm sure Commissioner Hightower wants to be assured that Commissioner Rennell's address is on the same list and they're both remitting taxes for what should be remitted. You wouldn't want to be paying less or more than your neighbor. And then finally, accountability. Those that do remit taxes to the city, we want to ensure are held accountable and, when possible, bring back a reasonable collection that is in the city's favor.
How far back does this go as far as?
That's a great question, Commissioner Hightower, and was one of the questions asked last time around. Let me pop this up. Statutes of limitations is the answer. And statutes of limitations vary. So if the Illinois Department of Revenue, which I can assure you has miscoded addresses for the city of Marion, when we identify that and send on Marion letterhead work product and evidence produced by as of our staff that this error is occurring, and here is the evidence, we demand it to be fixed. The Illinois Department of Revenue, under statute, is allowed to reallocate back 6 months of tax, sales tax, that they may have misallocated. I have an example of a municipal client whereby it took the Illinois Department of Revenue 18 months to deal with that letter. Thank goodness the statute accounts for the fact that it's 6 months from when you notify the state, not 6 months from when they get around to fixing it. Versus the longest statute of limitations, I'd say 6 months, actually 0 months is the shortest statute of limitations, and that's covered under the Simplified Telecommunications Act, Tax Act, that was passed in 2001, which provides for a safe harbor such that a telecommunications company uses ZIP +4, they have safe harbor from remitting any past tax errors or past coding errors. So that's why it's so important to make sure it's accurate going forward, because as you see in the numbers I looked at, you continue, Marion is about 400,000 just above there in the next budget year for telecommunications tax. I think is budgeted 410, I think is the number if I remember. And that number is going to continue to go down. Versus the highest level statute of limitations would be a breach of contract, written contract statute of limitations in Illinois, which is 10 years, and that would occur, for example, say in a local franchise agreement, or under the terms of a local franchise agreement, which is essentially a contract between the city and a franchisee, a utility company. But the taxpayer bill of rights, a local government taxpayer bill of rights, which is where we typically focus and work out issues with entities that may owe money, has a statute of limitations of 4 years, unless there's some major error, and then it continues to grow after that. There were some other questions, and I'm going to... What kind of basic information would we need? And I saw Mayor, I don't want to stop Mayor Butler or anyone from asking me questions directly. I saw you making some notes on the agreement. So please feel free to, but I'm going back to the questions from the last council meeting.
Well, I have some questions. Having the agreement before me.
Absolutely, Mayor.
This would be section 1.1B, talking about customer understands that findings may include but are not limited to changes to technology, organizational processes, automation, and communication practices, customer governing practices, and/or updates to local ordinances or the codification thereof. Then, customer agrees that any findings, whether implemented in whole or in part by ASAVAR or the customer, shall be fully compensable under Section 3 of this agreement. Now, this goes beyond whatever you might ferret out. Then it says, including wherein the findings require any amendments to ordinance and wherein the ordinance is changed. Customer agrees to review any findings within 30 days. Now, I guess part of my question is the findings that you make. What obligation does the city have for those?
I think earlier in that paragraph, it states that findings that are for going forward, savings or changes, have to be approved by the city first. So if they're not approved by the city, for example, many hotel tax ordinances across different communities in the state are not up to date relative to the new types of the new business models in the hotel sector, and they're called OTCs, online travel companies. There's been a precedent in Illinois that occurred in June. Only one ordinance in that case in the state was up to par, and now there are new entities like homeandaway.com where folks rent out their house or an apartment online that are also taxable under a hotel tax ordinance, which our experts would look when we're looking at, say, hotel taxes, and then bring that to the city's attention. We have retired municipal attorneys are the folks that we have on staff that help cities work with amending those ordinances or updating those ordinances to then be able to have gain the benefit of that the old-time tax, the new-time business model way. But that's only if the city decides to move forward with that. Otherwise, we're going to certainly audit those hotels that are remitting taxes to the city.
Okay, so suppose you come up with findings and we decide not to act on them. What do we owe you?
Paragraph that talks about that.
45.
Talks about the proactive, or talks about those changes that,
Paragraph?
F.
yeah.
Subparagraph F, 1.1 F.
Could you read it for us, or you want me to read it to Attorney Green?
It simply says that if they find something that would lead to money, basically, and you choose not to implement it or you forgive it, then you owe them time and material for their work, plus the contingent basis that they would earn on that as well. What that paragraph says.
This is a tax determination based upon existing ordinance, statute.
But the way I read it, it says, by any means that a portion of the funds identified as payable by during the audit, customer shall pay all ASVAR expenses and fees on a time and material basis for that audit, in addition to any applicable contingency fees, based on any of the findings.
And we are working on an Airbnb.
Okay. Well, that,
So that's something that the state, the municipal league is giving us guidance on.
On Airbnb, tax remittances, or on Airbnb regulating Airbnb and regulating residential units for whether or not they may use their unit or their residence for Airbnb. There's two types of ordinances. Because Airbnb won't.
We're working on it.
Yeah, there's only one example, but that's a good example to mention, and one I didn't mention. But they refuse to pay local government taxes to anyone that doesn't have any muscle, which are about the 20 listed on their website. But to the paragraph that the city attorney Green read, we'd be glad to review that based on what anything that comes out of tonight. And if there are more items like this, I'd ask that the council, if it is in line with moving forward with the program.
I have a question about 5.3.
Yes?
It talks about your software. Now, and maybe I'm not understanding it. The way I understood this paragraph, your software would have to be utilized for all of our offices, basically to track the information. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Tell me what by all of your offices is what I don't understand.
For a water department, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The information that you would need in order to conduct your audit would be, I guess, the customer base, right?
We utilize that list, yes, but it's not it's not required. But we utilize it if you have one available.
No, Tom said on the phone he'd be using our water department database, and that was the contingency the council would have to agree to that.
We don't use any and all data available to us. There's numbers of pieces of data that are available, the city administrator Green, and some of that data we have in third-party databases we've purchased or licensed from Pitney Bowes for, say for example, postal changes. We have business listing databases, residential databases. So, but that paragraph is not intended to replace, say, your water billing data or water billing software.
The way I read this, it says that that basically you're going to host and manage the supporting software pertaining to the local governmental expense management, tax location management, tax filing and payment applications for locally authorized and/or administered taxes and fees.
This relates to that which we fixed or are fixing, and will be.
You get to use it for 12 months, and then after that, there would be a licensing fee.
Well, right now it's in beta, so it's not something we know how much to pay or charge for.
Is that all?
But it's there. We don't know. And it's not it would not be an unreasonable fee, but the reason it's there is because it's what we use to monitor that any changes or corrections we make do stay in place, so that we can validate the billing that would be back to the city.
And is this information that you would try to get any and all from the city, is that, if I understand it right in this agreement, could be shared with any or all of your consultants?
It would be utilized by our staff members, yes. But all of our work product is, all of the information under the audit and all of the work product is exempt under the FOIA statute.
I've got it.
It is exempt. It is exempt.
Got a question.
Manila. Is there a concern that?
I don't want to be, I'm telling you, my big problem is, I don't want to be sharing our water department database with anybody, let alone a consultant or any staff member. You know, whether you can, and you can't 100% assure me that, you know, because it can't be breached, because we fight it every day here. You know, and it may be unbeknown to our commissioners, we fight breaches in our system every day here. And then to go out and share that and to allow more accessibility to breach is a grave concern to me, sir.
I mean, like breach of water accounts, is that where you're?
Yeah, breach of accounts and privacy of the individual.
You mean like hackers, or what are you talking about?
Well, yeah. Yeah, one of our identifiers is social security numbers.
Oh, we don't want social security numbers. We don't want any customer identifiable. We don't want customer identifiable personal information.
But there's people out there that can unencrypt them.
Our staff's not going to answer that, Commissioner Manila. All they need is an address, and that which is helpful thereafter is a customer name.
Well, that wasn't explained very well last time, but nonetheless, you know, I am very reluctant to share any database of our water department customers.
Our auditors don't have access to that now, or?
No.
Well, there's going to be certain data that they have to have access to. You cannot make it.
We allow it.
Oh, yeah.
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 But.
Only if we allow it.
Well, sure.
Yes.
But there has to be an understanding, I think, as to what they're going to be allowed access to.
So when it comes down to,
And that's part of what we're asking for.
records, you're looking for people who are paying like real estate taxes, right?
Oh, we'll look at the Williamson County database. We'll have the GIS data.
That's where you should get your information. His water records will have renters and everybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they'll have something to do with the taxes. We do overlays. One of the great things about our proprietary system is that because of overlaying 10 different databases on top of each other, we're able to identify, therefore, potential tax-paying entities that aren't identified elsewhere in an individual database. Tax fee or service fee entity. So
in here, this would be item D in 1.1. In order to perform the audits, as of ours shall require full access to customer records and provider records. Now, who is a provider?
Ameren is an example of a provider.
Okay, now how are we?
MediaCom.
Oh, okay, how do we guarantee you access to their records?
Currently, it's guaranteed under state statute.
Well, no, to what extent? I mean, we can't have an open check on that.
No, we don't. For example, it's protected under the federal statute that we're not able to look at what movies you may watch pay-per-view.
To what extent?
Or to the
extent can we reasonably expect to have access to provider records? To what extent?
Where does it, can I restate your question as I think I'm understanding it, Mayor Butler? Where does it stop?
Well, we say provide access to provider records. Okay, what does that mean? What is the limit or the limitations on that?
The limitations are agreed to individually in confidentiality agreements, which is required under the statute. So I'll give you Ameren as an example. So Ameren will put a numeric code on an account because we'll look at addresses, but we're not able to look at customer names or any other information. And when we want to verify the amount of tax that is collected and remitted to Marion, we're actually seeing an unidentifiable, a number that's unidentifiable to us, but it's identifiable to Marion, or identifiable to Ameren. Something similar happens with cable. Now, when you go on the local government portal, you're able to see, which is what I believe City Administrator West said you've been using on a quarterly basis. It gives you the name of the account. That's the person that pays that account, gives you the address, it gives you what the tax code is at the time that it's being viewed in the system. What it doesn't tell us is it doesn't tell us the amount of tax, which is important because there are certain prescribed rates within your ordinances that are prescribed under the Illinois Municipal Code within your ordinances, and then the utility sends the Illinois Commerce Commission. So to the question of what is prescribed and where it stops is based upon what are the processes we've engaged and agreed to with these providers in 150 different communities throughout Illinois.
Well, suppose we have a rate utility tax for Ameren at 5%. Now, we are not charging the individual customer.
Absolutely.
We are charging Ameren. Now, they, in turn, are going to pass that on to the individual customer.
Anyone's entitled to, as part of running their business, to recoup any costs, even as John McPeak stated he was doing in his pizza business, to recoup the cost of his additional property taxes. What Ameren does in its business model, we can't control. However, that's not been my experience because that's bad business generally all around. But under the municipal code, Ameren, or utility taxpayer, which is the company that does the collection, is liable and responsible for remitting that tax, and if there's tax missing, they're responsible for getting it right.
Well, it appears to me we can, I think, ask Ameren for their total revenues collected in the city of Marion. We can do that. Then we can take the 5% and see if they're paying the 5%. But when it comes to the individual customer, I don't think we've got any say on that.
But I think the ordinance specifies the amount that you're collecting off of is what's being, is what each individual customer is using. And based upon that, they're supposed to be collecting from the customer and then transmitting to us.
Yeah.
It's not based upon their total revenue. They're just transmitting to us what they've collected from each individual customer.
But what's the difference between that and revenue?
Well, I think what he is trying to say is they want to come out and ascertain whether or not they are correctly charging the whole customer base, and whether or not there's parts of that customer base that are not being charged, and then that money being remitted to the city, or money's being collected by them and not being remitted to the city.
Seems to me to be a whole lot simpler if you just take their revenues generated in Marion and then take 5% and say that's what Ameren's supposed to pay. Why won't that work?
Well, because it's a rate structure not based upon, if it was a dollar amount, then it would, but the breakout's different. Each customer's going to pay a different amount because of the breakout.
Yeah, but I'm not concerned about the individual customer. I'm wanting Ameren to pay 5% of the revenue they're collecting in Marion.
But they don't pay 5% of the revenue. They pay it's based upon usage, the number of kilowatts that are being used. Gas is based upon dollar.
Well, okay, let's get the total kilowatts. Let's get the total kilowatts that is used in Marion.
Because your tax bill has municipal tax on the bill. And so it's right there as the customer pays it, it's already there. It's not the revenue, it's based on the bill.
Yeah, each bracket's taxed at a different rate.
Right.
Kind of like your water bill. Each bracket's taxed at a different
Well,
rate.
then the 5% that we charge Ameren is a fantasy.
Well, we'll charge Ameren. Ameren collect the money on our behalf and transmitting it to us.
And they're taking.
Well, we're actually then charging the individual user the 5%.
We are. Yeah, based upon, well, not 5, yeah, it's based upon the kilowatts.
Well, yeah, but, yeah.
5% is 5%.
Yeah, but how do you get around the 5%? That's,
5% telecommunications tax.
don't we have it on the electricity?
And 5% on natural gas.
I got something I can give you.
Yeah, and I've got the revenue I wrote down.
Getting that, one thing, I think
Go
our
ahead,
IT
Administrator West.
person had some very serious concerns, parents, about
Terrence?
utilizing the software.
Terrence, could you come forward? in the notes, I wrote that I couldn't determine, I wasn't able to see who you were. So making sure everything runs smoothly, Terrence. So tell me some of the questions that you had about software.
Well, I mean, just vaguely looking over your contract and really not understanding how your system works. It feels and it appears that you're going to punch a big hole in our security. You're going to extract a lot of our data. I don't know how you protect your data. Now, how are you protecting, kind of going back to what Anthony said, we supply you with all this information. How are you going to reassure us that you're protected on your end?
Our contract and the liability and responsibilities required.
We know what we.
I'd be happy to have our folks go through that.
Does not exist.
No, and it never has. It's these rates here.
Those are the questions.
Now, the gas is a
You
straight.
come in and you speak to our counselor, speak to our other people, and you start to
5%.
deeper
The gas is a straight
into our
5%.
infrastructure and want to actually.
But utility tax is based
our
upon
citizens' information.
these brackets.
And those are things that, I'm paid to protect. So that's
How much
why
a year
I'm
do we
asking
get, Steve?
questions. I'm trying to-
How many dollars a year do we get from
Our
that?
computer system.
I've been operating under a misconception then.
Yeah, but in essence, but your premise is right though, because they're showing total kilowatts. And that's what they're based on, total kilowatts.
Yeah, but why can't we charge them 5% for the kilowatts?
Mayor Butler, it all happened as a result of deregulation back in the late 90s when
I don't
electric
care about the
providers.
regulation. If we can charge them 5%, why can't we charge them?
You're charging the steps, so the first, .3142, .2060, to make it simple. In 1997, it was the equivalent of what Ameren was charged with, 5% of what the city of Marion was getting from at that time was.
Are we using the 1990 as a base? What about
It's
2016?
It's one of the issues, at hand that we're raising at a group level to Ameren. We've raised at a group level, we're raising at a group level to Airbnb to get an agreement in place for local governments in Illinois to be part of a system of accountability where they'll pay and remit future taxes, potentially on some agreement, but that's for the members of that settlement group to discuss. But Terrence, the answer to Terrence, I want to make sure everyone heard Terrence's questions. There's a few different discussions going on. I'd like to make sure I address each one of them. That's why I'm here. But I think, in all due respect, I'm going to make sure I address the mayor's first. Mayor Butler, absolutely, there's confusion among Marion's taxes. I can guarantee there's confusion among Woodridge's taxes, where I grew up. There's confusion among Evanston's taxes, or among Rock Island's taxes, or Effingham's. We have seen confusion in Lebanon's taxes, where Ameren didn't have the proper ordinance, and therefore was not assessing the proper rate. So there's confusion for a number of reasons. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business. How do we make money amidst this issue where everyone is not going to have an issue? We are profitable because we approach this as a group of municipalities. So we've been supporters and participants in the Illinois Municipal League and legislation and groups like for the last 10 years and moving through the state to work with groups like the Southern Illinois Mayor Association for the last couple of years. And looking at the entire revenue base, because we're able to look at and get a three-dimensional view of the revenue when we look at it from all aspects or all pieces of data that might be occurring. Does it make sense that this commercial property that utilizes this much water per month for these types of, would have these types of tanks and is named, has this in the name, and has asphalt there, uses no natural gas and is not paying any municipal utility tax? Not at all. An asphalt plant uses what would be probably about $5,000 worth of municipal utility tax a month. So those are the type of issues that we're able to root out by having this three-dimensional view of data. Without knowing necessarily, I mean, it's no secret that this is where the City Hall, Marion is. It's no secret what the mayor's address is, or Commissioner Hightower's, or mine, and all of that information is available. We're not interested in Social Security numbers, Commissioner Ranella. Quite frankly, we stipulate in our audit notices that go out on behalf of the City of Marion or any of our other municipal clients that they do not provide personally identifiable customer information in any way.
Would you be so kind as perhaps send me copies of these notices that you use?
Sure.
I would like to see them. And you had indicated that you were going to give me some people that I could chat with.
I have that list.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
What if in your audit you find out we owe somebody money?
Covers that in section 1 as well. We're going to bring that in. So remember, our audit is of all revenue sources, but in section 1 it says if we identify that there's that issue, in theory there would be or should be that issue. We are going to bring it to your attention as early in the audit as possible, and then together we'll make a decision on how to move forward.
Terrence, does that information satisfy you? What he did?
We've not had to exercise that. So,
Steve, one thing I think that he needs to supply to you, that Terrence has a concern with, I have a concern with, is security breach. And what are they doing to assure not only their company, but us, that that can occur?
Well, the way I read the contract, let's assume that there was a breach. Their liability to us is simply going to be small. They have a disclosure, a disclaimer of, specific negligence. It would have to be intentional or reckless conduct on their part in order for there to even be some liability. And the liability is going to be minimal.
So it's on us.
Yeah.
Have you had any instances, sir?
not at all. And we actually have cybersecurity as required by one of our clients. So one of our larger clients is the County of Cook. So we're required to hold cybersecurity, errors and omissions, professional liability, all sorts of levels of insurance, certificates of which I'll be glad to provide you with the notices.
But do you disagree with me? I mean, your disclaimer on page 3 says, I mean, if you did something were to happen, simple negligence, a careless thing, I leave a thumb drive laying around and someone picks it up, that's not intentional, that's not reckless, that's just negligent. We would not have an action against your insurance company for that at all.
We could review that. So that's would be in the, that's why when I phoned, I asked if he had any changes or issues yet, and he's got a lot. So.
Council's sake, and I know time's getting, but.
Yeah, I appreciate the time everyone has spent.
Over the security breach and what it would happen to our system is a strong concern of the council to continue to consider.
We're not directly connecting to the city system.
Anthony, if you can parse out what you give them, in other words, just transmit to them only information which is required, and if there was a breach, would not violate, cause a problem. For instance, obviously Social Security numbers, they would never have. Now you could parse that information out, that'd be one thing.
So,
You just take I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, what's the issue then if we parse it out? I mean, it don't seem to be much of a security issue now.
No problem.
Then how do you validate the list? If you just need a list of, like, let's say our water customers, and you don't want unique identifiers, a unique identifier could be our account numbers as well as social security numbers. If you parcel those two out, then who's to say the list of names I give you is accurate?
So we're only as accurate.
That's scary.
No, because we're not able to trust just your data. No, you don't pay for that. You don't pay for it until it's verified by the person that's responsible or the project manager at the city for our contract, and whether could be you, Terrence. And until we validate it, and as it states in our contract, verify it to your satisfaction, we're not paid for it. It has to be paid for on actual money returned or recovered.
On the first page, water office recommendations with the technology part. When the audit comes back, you would make those recommendations on the technology.
Who's going to have the time to
we have to buy, we have to implement, we have to do. That's based on your recommendations, and we would have to compensate your company for the findings and use that particular software, whatever else you recommended. I think that's what I read, if I'm not mistaken.
If you approve it. If you approve it, yes.
And if we decide not to go.
And we don't present recommendations that we don't implement and cover the cost of. So we're actually working with a couple large towns, Joliet, Peoria, Springfield, not Springfield, but a couple outside of Springfield, and to look at covering the cost of streetlight bulb head replacement within the terms of our contract. And there's no cost to the municipality for equipment or labor. Now, where streetlights are $500,000 cost a year, electric cost, that becomes pretty significant. So, those are the types of things we look at.
Would those things?
It's a type of technology. It's LED technology.
Would those things be considered findings?
If the findings and our recommendation, there are two that go together. I mean, the findings, must include recommendations. I mean, we're making a finding that has recommendations to the city.
And we're going to pay you for those.
If you say yes, I want you to do it.
If we don't want to do it, then we don't pay you for your findings.
Exactly.
That's not what the contract says.
What does it say? Which part?
I had another question down here. Page 1.
It limits it, it does limit it to 36 months in section 3.1, but if there is ambiguity there, I will make sure that when I hand off those changes, city attorney agreed that we'll handle that.
I think that's what that says. I got a question down here at paragraph H. Each audit is expected to last at least 6 months. Each subsequent audit will begin after payment terms and obligations have been satisfactorily met from previously completed audits. I thought we were only talking about one major audit, but this looks to me like we're talking about possible several audits. What's that about?
Well, so the audit of electric tax revenue under your ordinance is a different audit of natural gas tax revenue. under your ordinance. We'll look at each of those as two different audits. And what so when you say
You have just one major audit covering umbrella-like. You have an individual audit for water, individual audit for sewer,
Sales tax,
sales tax.
hotel tax, and occupation tax.
each one of these requires different experts, so we have an audit program.
So we could have multiple audits going on.
You're looking at, if we're looking at, it's the same as one big audit, because you're looking at all of these lines of revenue, and it says, it continues to state, I think in there, Mayor Butler, that we reserve the right to move forward with them concurrently, which is currently our current operating practice.
Okay, have any other comment or question?
And those audits would, is it a 2-year or 3-year period?
A 36-month period.
6 months, okay.
That's no contract? That's a no contract?
Excuse me?
Month by month or what?
But we will send, and I can provide you, Commissioner Goss, an example of a bill. So a bill gets, itemized, broken down. It says, what we identified and recovered on electric excise tax. What we identified and recovered are natural gas utility municipal utility tax. What we identified and recovered on water.
I understand.
It's not a month contract, and you gotta supply a 90-day notice to get out of it.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
For a town our size, any idea how much money?
I get that question a lot. As you can imagine. We don't have an average, because the issues usually aren't average. What I would look at, when I talked to Attorney Green and I talked about some of these examples, because I think Park Ridge and Rock Island were brought up at the last meeting. Rock Island, so we talked through them, and we talked about how those weren't necessarily comparable. Similarly situated is what I like to say, because you're a home rule community. You have different types. You're using different utility providers, different types of utilities, but similarly situated in terms of having MediaCom as one of your franchisees is a little more unique in the area, and so then Rock Island becomes a good similarly situated community to talk to. So in addition to 3 other similarly situated communities, I put in John Thorson's name on my list that I'm going to email you to talk to in Rock Island. And he can share with you issues about I think certainly when you first see the kind of data and information we need, and in today's world where everyone, it's not something to be considered that you may or may not be breached, or there will or will not be a security issue at any time. You will have it. It's a matter of when, not if. We all will. But it will not be on our systems or on our watch for Marion data.
Got a question here. It's paragraph 1.2. Customer agrees to provide reasonable facilities, space, desks, chairs, telephone, and reasonably necessary office supplies for consultants working on customers' premises as may be reasonably required for the performance of the services set forth. And in the exhibit here too. Now, how much do you think you're talking about there? That could run into a sizable amount.
That's a good question. This relates to, I think, Commissioner Goss's question of the last council meeting of how much staff time are we going to take up. So we call this the intake process. First, we must do our due diligence here in Marion to find out what Marion has received, to make sure we have accurate copies of Marion ordinances and Marion agreements. That takes us about a half a day to a day. And we have a short list that we'll go through, and this is one of the things that Attorney Green was asking about.
We're providing you reasonable facilities, space, desks, chairs, telephone.
That's how a lawyer writes it.
They're office
Butler.
supplies.
That's how a lawyer writes it. But it is in there because we have to
It's
come.
in there, but what does it cost usually run?
What does it cost the city?
Yeah, who else would it cost?
It costs the city 4 hours to 8 hours.
How many people comes?
We'll bring as many people as are necessary, so I can bring all 40 of them if you want.
Well, I mean, with that,
But usually we only bring 2.
40 desks.
Well, I can't get a sniff of the wind one way or the other, and which way it's blowing, if you want 2 or you want 20. So, what's your pleasure? But typically,
How many it would take to do the job?
typically what it takes to do the job is 1 to 2 people, about a day to a half a day.
Well, of course, we still are having to provide the desks, chairs, so you're saying we only need to provide 2 desks and 2 chairs?
If you'd like to put a limitation on it, I'd be glad to do that.
No, I want to get what you have to have, what it takes to do the job, not what I arbitrarily decide.
What it takes to do the job is a little bit of space for, like this space here.
We have a small conference room.
Yeah. Some of our, clients, and I'll tell you a few others down here at Craneville we work with, who would be so I think that might be a good example of a smaller town. They're just starting to see the effect of results of our audit. But I know when our folks went there, they pretty much hunkered down in the corner and used the top of a file cabinet as their workspace for the day.
Wow.
So it's, Mayor Butler, that's how an attorney puts it in here. But I can tell you, when it came time to return monies to cities like O'Fallon, I don't know if this is the practice, common practice in Marion, but O'Fallon issues an electric meter license for every electric meter and has one of their city inspectors go out prior to occupancy being taken, but after development. Is that the case in Marion? Is there anything similar? Okay. That took 5 of our people a week and a half to go through. And we did it off-site, and we did field checks as well, with the city authorization in hand, because that was as far as we had to go to show Ameren that indeed these properties and addresses existed and they were using electricity.
Okay, I got another question here.
Go ahead, Mayor.
It says, as it pertains to customer expenses, utility service bill, and cost audits, customers shall pay as of an amount equal to 45% of prospective savings. Now, suppose that actual savings are less than the prospective savings. Do you guys refund a pro rata portion that we paid you?
We do either true-ups.
But it doesn't say that.
Or we can write in the word actual, or we can do both.
Yeah, but it doesn't say anything about a refund.
Because we've never had to refund.
You mean your projections prospective are always accurate?
They're always conservative.
Yeah.
We never want to be
magic word.
giving, we never want to be holding your money in our hands. So we'd rather, if it's for 6 months or a year, and unfortunately, if you talk to a few of the clients names that I give you, they'll share with you some of the true-ups that we've had. But that's one way to do it. We write actual in there all the time. But truing up is a way to do it, and that's what we utilize the software for. And the reason we have 12 months in there, because it's new. We don't know what it's going to cost, or if we're going to charge for it. The feedback we're getting right now is the sales tax reporting and management tool is very useful and effective. Don't charge for it if you want to try and charge me for any of the other things, because that's the basis on which I'd like to use it. is what we're hearing from finance directors, city managers, et cetera. Finance commissioners, where they're treasurers, where they're the only ones able to they're the only ones seeing the data and able to actually understand it and work with it. So these are the types of things we're hearing. But if we need to change that or eliminate it or do a scope change in the future, something we'd be glad to amend. So really what I've come here for tonight and the purpose of my visit is just to answer and respond and address everyone's questions. I know Travis is local, and I have done this business now for 20 years, and I have learned one thing that is very important. It is important to understand the local landscape, and it is important to do business, that local governments and knowing local governments like to know they're doing business with people that are local. We are paying and hiring for people that are local to Marion or other communities we work with like O'Fallon to do contract work for us, and that is important.
So you're assuring the city council that the person you would contract would be Travis?
Travis is one of our contractors.
And so you're saying that you protect all the information he has from any of these other positions?
Oh, no, Travis wouldn't have access to this data. There's local representatives and there's auditors.
Well, you're saying you used him to get yourself in the door.
No, Travis represents us with communities in the area. He represents us and believe it or not, with providers in the area when we have to hound them to meet the statute of 60 days in terms of providing data. So certainly what I've come to Marion tonight to ask is I propose that maybe the best way to do it would be based upon recommended changes made by or reviewed and made by as recommended by the city attorney or corporation counsel. But I've come here tonight to ask you to approve our contract, because I do believe that we can maximize revenues from Marion. And if we cannot, or if we can show you that indeed you're getting every penny you're due, then at the very least, you're maintaining the fundamentals of good government. Because when residents and businesses, and you have to tell them that you're going to raise taxes or new revenues or increase the levy, this is something that you can stand on, because it is just as professional a report as, we're not accountants, we're not CPAs, but I sure as hell know how to portage a canoe here. So I remembered that comment you said about CPAs and accountants and their canoes, so I can portage a canoe and I do it quite well with 50 pounds on my back and my chest and on my neck or my shoulders. So with that, is that something that would be acceptable as a compromise?
I would like to consider it. I would like to talk to some of those places that you have for me. I'd like to see the confidential documents that you're going to be sending to the other utilities or whoever you're going to be.
Utilities give us. They don't allow us to say what the confidentiality will be. They give it to us. Yeah, and any confidentiality agreement, I'd have to give you those that have already probably been FOIA through other communities. So,
I'll start first, and it may end here. I got to tell you, until information was provided to our council and for him to review, I would be very reluctant to vote on anything such tonight.
Well, I think that we'll have to have some discussion and with the city attorney. And I don't know what more we could ask of you at this point in time. So I think the sense of the council is we don't want to take a vote on the contract at this time. I think we want to have a little conversation and review your response to the various questions that we've asked. And I might have one interpretation and some of the others may have another on some of the issues. But I think you have been forthcoming and comprehensive in your presentation, and I certainly appreciate that. Now, I guess this is a regular meeting. I think, when's our next meeting?
November the 14th.
14th. And this is the 24th. So
This is October the 24th.
that would be, what, 3 weeks?
Three.
Yeah. Well, our next regular meeting would be in 3 weeks. I think we certainly should be in a position to vote the contract up or down by that time.
I'd appreciate that, Mayor, and I think the best way, certainly I'll be glad to provide anything that I can provide. And I don't see any of these items being out of reasonableness, but I think the key thing, and maybe sharing these references with City Administrator West, because I sense some concern, real concern with you as well, is to talk to the communities and the people that we've actually worked with in those communities, because that'll give you...
It's strongly as our IT and invasion of our security information.
Well, that's why I suggest that talking with not just the City Attorney Green, but all four, and I don't know your name. Stephen, thank you. What's your role specifically in the city? City Treasurer. I had a sense, I wanted to make sure. So, because there's not pictures of everyone on the website that you can find. So, I know the clerk's first name is Alice.
That would be me.
So, and it's just because of the sign up there. But I tried to find it on the website, and it's tough. So I appreciate that offer, Mayor. We'll be back. I'll be back here in 3 weeks, hopefully with Commissioner Ranella. I think you have the most outstanding concerns and questions. Is that a reasonable statement?
That my concerns are equally as important.
The things I've listed down, I think, contract-wise, I think City Attorney Green's got most of those. I think otherwise, there's what kind of data, seeing data, talking to our people that are touching and using data, and working with folks that are using on the other side of the table that have or see or touch that data. That sounds very important. And for you to be able to come back with Terrence and with City Administrator West to say you're comfortable with what you've seen from us and as well as heard from others would hopefully carry a lot of weight with your other fellow council members.
That'd be fair to say.
So, are there any other outstanding questions or deliverables from me?
I only got one other question. Our state comptroller has a similar program where they go in and look for monies that are owed to the city.
You mentioned this.
Where does that differ?
The city has to report those monies. So if you've got past due water bills, or the city has to report those monies, and the city that's really support at a statewide level to collect monies at a local level, but it's more of a collection initiative. They're not leaning technically, but they're effectively putting statewide pressure at a statewide executive office level to hold local. So it's just as dangerous or crafty, because you're giving them personal data, you're giving them, and gosh knows if the state can lose $168 million in corporate personal property replacement tax and still not figure out, after they admit that it's income tax, who's supposed to get their first bit off the top. Can anyone answer? LGDF, local government distribution fund, which they have seemed to miscalculated. So these are the kind of issues that Travis has been our representative on behalf of our municipal clients, or hearing in local communities. These are the type of more macro issues that our local representatives work on. Commissioner Manella.
Other municipalities locally that this presentation's being made to?
Absolutely. That and our contracted clients, Wood River, Sasser, Effingham, Valmeyer, Trenton, New Baden, Craneville. You got to be able to go there in 2 minutes? Oh, you got to go in 2 minutes, will you? You better go. So I appreciate everyone's time tonight.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you much.
Thank you.
Okay, if there is nothing...
No, I gotta pay bills.
Okay, speed out.
Yes, I'll make a motion to pay the monthly bills as funds become available.
Second, call roll.
Commissioner Vanella.
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Butler.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to pay the consent agenda.
Second.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella.
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Butler.
Yay. Anything?
Not now.
Goss?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Vanella.
Yay.
Commissioner Hightower.
Yay.
Commissioner Webb.
Yay.
Commissioner Goss.
Yay.
Mayor Butler.
And that's why.
I've got to think about that.
I told my little wife